All right, everybody's in progress.
Thank you.
All right. Calling this public hearing to order at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, August 25th, 2021. This meeting is being taped for transcription purposes only, and the written minutes and attachments, if any, will serve as the official record. Any board member who has a monetary interest or has a conflict, including ex parte communication, should disclose now. And I will now ask the secretary to call the roll.
Calabro.
Here.
Who?
Here.
Celeste.
Here.
Mainzer has recused herself due to conflict of interest. Bud.
Here.
Woolney.
Here.
In the audience are alternate Schaefer, zoning inspector Wilson, trustee Kalina, and trustee Burns. I'm not sure if trustee Augustine.
She is.
Virtually. Okay,
Yes.
trustee Augustine virtually.
All right. At this point, if you could read the public notice, Judy.
The Hinckley Township Board of Zoning Appeals will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, August 25th, 2021 at 7:00 p.m. at the Administration Building located at 1410 Ridge Road, which is on the southwest corner of the intersection of State Routes 3 and 303. Log into www.hinkleytwp.org for Zoom option to observe/listen only. Must be in person to speak/participate in meeting. Subject of the hearing is as follows. An application for conditional use permit AP0256 was submitted by applicant Jerry Pettry, who is leasing a portion of Buzzard Cove owned by Hinckley Properties Inc. to run Buzzard Cove Screen Park located at 1053, 1043, 1039, and 1029 Bellis Road, Hinckley, Ohio. Permanent parcel numbers 01603D15006 and 01603D09048, requesting a conditional use permit for an additional outdoor recreational use to operate a haunted hayride trail and tent at the stated addresses. Inspection of this property will take place on Saturday, August 21, 2021 at 10:00 a.m. Zoning reference Chapter 6, District Regulations, subsection 6B2B C, Use Regulations, and subsection 6B3E2B1, Schedule of Permitted Uses of the Hinckley Township Zoning Regulations. Copies of these applications and other supportive material will be available to for public viewing from the date of this notice to the date of hearing at the zoning department located in the Administration Building at 1410 Ridge Road, Monday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., Tuesday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., and Friday, 9 a.m. to noon. Information may also be found on the Hinckley website at www.hinkleytwp.org under News and Events titled Board of Zoning Appeals Public Hearing. All interested parties are asked to attend this hearing or to send written comments to the Hinckley Township Board of Zoning Appeals, P.O. Box 344, Hinckley, Ohio 44233.
Thank you. The Hinckley Township Board of Zoning Appeals acts within the authority of Section 519 of the Ohio Revised Code and exercises its powers as provided in Chapter 7 and 13 of the Hinckley Township Zoning Regulations. All public hearings are open to the public. All persons wishing to testify must do so from the podium, must identify themselves and give their residence address, and must be sworn in. Evidence and testimony must be pertinent to this hearing. It is my discretion to limit personal comments, personal attacks, opinions, and repetitious statements or testimony or evidence previously given. Disruptive persons will lose the right to remain at this hearing, and personal attacks will not be tolerated. Also, on behalf of our virtual audience, we ask the public joining us in person to approach the podium in the event that they would like to speak. Again, you need to state your name and address prior to speaking. Additionally, we ask the audience to save personal conversations for after the meeting, as additional voices causes confusion for those attending virtually. This hearing is upon the application of Jerry Pettry, who is leasing a portion of Buzzard Cove owned by Hinckley Properties Inc. to run Buzzard Cove Screen Park at 1053, 1043, 1039, and 1029 Bellis Road, Hinckley, Ohio, for a conditional use permit. The applicant has submitted an application to this board and has also included certain documents in the packet, and I'm assuming that everyone has received that on the board. Notice of the application has been given in local newspapers, and the application has been available for public review and comment. Have there been any phone calls? I know there's been several emails, which we will handle later.
There were I think there was an email she sent.
Right. Okay, we will refer to all emails. Okay. I know for the record that non-written communication made by known or unknown persons not under oath at a properly noticed hearing is not accepted by the Board of Appeals as testimony. Each member of the board has been provided a copy of this application, and each member of the board has visited the site. At this point, I would ask the secretary to uphold the board whether there's been a visit and receive the packet.
Glabro?
Yes and yes.
Oop.
Yes and yes.
Zelesnik?
Yes to both.
Molly?
Yes to both.
Bud?
Yes and yes.
And I want to note for the record that Julie Mainzer attended, not as a board member, just strictly as a resident.
As an interested resident.
As an
Mhm.
interested resident.
All right, written communications from persons not present this evening may include communications that are not made by affidavit. Because these communications are made by persons that are not under oath, they are not accepted by this board. I also note that written communications may include some writing by affidavit by persons that are not present this evening and therefore cannot be subjected to cross-examination. These affidavits therefore will not be given much weight, if any, in the decision of the board on this matter. This board does have the power to grant the applicant's request for a conditional use permit. And at this point, we typically ask the applicant to come up, but prior to that, due to time constraints, I'm going to ask Chief Sutner to come up, and he has a statement, and then he's going to lead us. And if I could please swear you in. I
I, Chief David Sutner,
swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you shall answer unto God.
I do.
Thank you.
Good evening, folks.
Last week, Tom Wilson sent me the proposal for this event and asked for my input. And I will tell you that I have, and I'm going to read you the email that I responded back to Tom, so everybody understands where I'm coming from and my perspective on this. I have a number of issues with the board granting this permit as it relates to our community. Number one, it's my opinion that approving the conditional permit will have a negative impact on our residents in the area due to the increased noise and lights that this event will create. The approved haunted barn, while creating a minor disruption to the area for this period of time, is at least within a controlled structure with a minimum disruption to the neighborhood. And it's been there for the last few years. In the proposal, there's no mention of security. We've not been contacted by Mr. Pettry for security. It's my request, if this is approved by the board, that they be required to hire the Hinckley Police Department for security for the dates and times they intend to be open. These events tend to draw large crowds from out of the area, and having an officer working these events help keep everything safe and under control. To the best of my knowledge, the other like events in this area do have law enforcement presence at all of their events. In the to whom it may concern section of this application, they indicate that the hours of operation will be until midnight on Friday and Saturday evenings and 10:30 on Sundays. They also indicate that they'll be selling tickets up until midnight, which I don't understand how we can be open till midnight, but we're selling tickets till midnight to me, which then draws this out till 1 o'clock in the morning, which is not acceptable at any level to me. And the same thing goes for Sunday. If we're selling tickets till the 10:30 close date, then we're going to be open to 11 or 11:30. And, you know, that it's just not acceptable. Now, I understand this is a business district. They've had the haunted barn. But what has been asked of this permit is now taking this event to a whole different level, in my opinion. There's a walking trail with a number of stages, a hayride with a number of stages, air horns, lights, smoke, people yelling and screaming. And I get the idea. We're here to, it's to be a good time for folks, but the impact it will have on our residents in that area, to me, is we've taken it way past reasonable. And the impact it's going to have on my police officers is a concern of mine as well, because these folks are going to call. and rightfully so, when we've got air horns going off at 11 o'clock in that valley, echoing up, all the way around. And it's just going to create a nuisance for the neighborhood and that area of our community that I don't approve of. So that's my position on it.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for the chief?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
We appreciate
Are they allowed to ask questions of me or I
not
got,
yet. Well,
okay. Yeah, I will put this out. If any of you wish to contact me at the police department, please do. I will tell you I will be in all day tomorrow, half a day on Friday, then I'm going to be on vacation next week. But I will return emails. I will return your phone calls, even if I'm on vacation. So please, after this evening, feel free, please reach out to me and I'll discuss this with you further. Okay?
I would like to give the applicant his time to kind of introduce the whole, and
So-
because of time constraints, we wanted the chief to speak first. That's the
Okay.
reason.
Thank
will
you
have
very
time
much,
to speak.
folks. Have a
Thank
good
you
evening.
very much.
Thank you.
All right, at this point, I would like to ask the applicant to step up and just, if I can swear you in and kind of give us a summary of what you want to do, your proposal, your application. Please state your name.
Jerry Pettry.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you shall answer unto God.
Yes, I do.
Thank you. So if you can just kind of give us a synopsis of your application and what you're looking to do.
So yes, all we're asking for is to basically add on the haunted trail, the hayride, and possibly a tent in the near future. What that does is it creates the people that come to our event a little bit more time. Again, they come out on a Friday, Saturday night to have fun. Again, they don't want to come and do a 15-minute thing. Anything that's over 20 to 25 minutes or so is considered a good price for what they're trying to get. With that being said, the barn with the occupancy load and the sheer size of it just isn't enough time. So that's why we add the hayride, we add the trail. We did it the first year. I understand we did it without permission. We dealt with that. We tried to do everything that we could to make that right. But the response that we got from the customers was very good. I mean, there was not a bad comment at all. As far as anything towards what the chief had said, my lease doesn't start until the first week, well, actually the last weekend in August. So that's when we start to call out. We do hire on the police. We haven't needed more than one, but every night that we're open, we do ask Hinckley Police to come out. We do pay for that service. Nothing's happened, and we'd like to continue that. Again, that's why I haven't reached out to him just yet. As far as the noise goes in the trail, there is a horn in our truck, but I'm willing to work with everybody, possibly give that up for some leadway on maybe chainsaws. But that'd be about it, the two main heavy noise complaints that we've gotten. With that being said, again, I'm willing to work with everybody, but again, this is, like he said, this is a business, and we do try to give our customers the best experience that they look for. So I don't know what complaints we're going to get just yet, but I mean, I can come back and answer those or respond to them at that time.
So you said you've done this before. How long have you been doing it? As far as
This is our third year, but the first year, and again, I've reached out to Medina County. I tried to go through every avenue that I needed to go through. I did speak with Tom the first year. Maybe we had a misunderstanding of the first year, but he did allow us
first year being, I'm sorry to interrupt.
2018.
2018. Okay.
Yes. Or was it? It was 19. I'm sorry.
Okay.
18 is when they opened back the barn. They opened up the barn again. So yeah, in 2019, we built the trail. Again, it was fun time. Everybody loved it. I guess the neighbors had called in, and then that caused us to have a couple issues with the town and the zoning and all that, which me and Tom had worked together on that to try to resolve it the best that we could. Again, yes, we do 7:30 to 11, but or 7:30 to 12, but our ticket sales will stop at 11:30, which should give enough time to go through by 12 o'clock. I don't know why that's not in my paperwork, but I apologize for that.
So in 2018, when you, the first year you did it, was it similar to this now?
It was exactly the same, except the tent. We didn't have a tent.
The hayride was part of it?
Yes. It's not really, the hayride, it's not even really an attraction. It's just a way to get people, we all walked from the back up. I mean, it wasn't a fun walk. So it just gives the people a chance to relax, enjoy a little festival more of like a little haunted festival type thing, just a fun ride back.
So when do the chainsaws come into play? During the walking or during the hayride thing or both?
Both. I mean, there's maybe a 5-second in the walkthrough, but then a little bit longer in the trail or in the hayride, because again, we got one guy that runs the field, one or two actually. And again, it's just to catch people off guard. It's that scare factor that we're after.
Okay. Anyone else want to chime in?
Just a quick one here. How does your proposed venue compare to like Hudson's and Broadview Heights as far as the activities and noise?
How do we differ?
Yeah, how do you differ? I mean,
well, Bloodview, if that's one you're speaking of, Bloodview has an outdoor attraction as well. They walk through a trail. It's not as long as ours, but again, it's just a way to slow down the customers. Again, they have chainsaws, they have everything. They have outdoor music. We don't have any outdoor music other than in the trail. They have concessions. We basically we sell the food on the inside, so we don't have any outside sources that bring food in. The one in Medina has a hayride. It's an outdoor. They got chainsaws, they got air horns, they got all of it. So there's nothing really different that we're doing that everybody else isn't.
Where's Medina's held at?
It's on 18. It's called Force of Screams. I want to say it's between 94 and 71. Right in the middle there. Yeah, I think it's by Avalon. It's right next door to Avalon.
Okay.
Right on 18 there.
So as far as the attractions, they may not be that different from what you're doing, those other ones. But I think there's one huge difference, which is the reason that some of these folks and some of these emails that we have, the objection.
What would that
There
be?
isn't much residences around those places. Bloodview is in an industrial park, basically,
Mhm.
surrounded by businesses.
Yep.
Route 18, same thing. And kind of sway in.
I believe there are residents on 18. I'm not going to say, definitely not as many as we
But
got.
it's way more
Right.
distant than
Yep. I'm not going to, I won't dispute that.
okay, I just wanted to state that for the record. Go.
Could you give me, go ahead. Just a couple questions on the trail itself. When we walked it Saturday, there was quite a few obstacles, I'll call them, where you could, especially at night, you could easily trip and fall. And if we have, rainy conditions during this, there's always the hazard of slipping. It almost seemed to me that should be improved and for safety reasons. Do you have any plans to do that?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Like I said, my lease doesn't start my insurance doesn't start towards the lease until next week. So that's when we get our mulch in. We do the trail all with mulch. And again, we take shovels, we take pickaxes, and we get those big ruts out of there every time. Again, I don't know where it happened or where it goes, but I'm assuming during the rainy season, it gets washed away in the creek there. But we have, again, our safety is our main concern. Again, we don't want any bad marks on our insurance or even having any of our customers get hurt.
Who does your, I'll call them safety standards, as you're looking at the displays and listening to the noise and looking at the trail? What standards are you really using for safety?
Oh, we got roping. We got ropes that kind of line the trails there, so you can't get off course at all. Again, we have in the house and the trail, we have actor leads that constantly go up and down just to make sure everything's copacetic and in order. Again, it is lit. When you guys walked it, it was just, I had just went in there and mowed it. So it wasn't, again, nothing really was even set up. Our markers, our safety ropes, none of that was put up yet. So,
Well, does it get periodically inspected? I mean, who has the final say on safety is what I'm trying to get at here.
I guess that would be me. I mean,
Are you qualified to have you been trained in some way?
well, I mean, I've owned my own business for quite a while. I mean, I do construction. I mean, it is my duty to make sure that all my employees are safe. So again, if I have failed in any way, shape, or form with that, then I wouldn't be a very good businessman to begin with. Am I
You really haven't
qualified?
had any real formal training in that
No.
area?
Nope.
Okay.
I mean, we
You
did take
mentioned
safety
insurance.
courses through some of our OSHA projects, union projects, where we got to do certain safety courses and stuff like that. So, I mean, yes, I have been trained, but as far as knowing where people are going to walk and how they're going to walk and if they're going to run, when they're going to run, I have no way of saying that.
You mentioned insurance. What type of insurance are you?
So we got event insurance, we got liability. I think it's covered for $3 million. Again, it's only during the times that we're there from the end of August to the 1st of November is when we're covered. That covers our hayride, that covers the trail, that covers the haunt and everything about it.
When you say the haunt, do you mean the barn?
Yes, sorry.
That's all I have.
Good. Question on timing, if you could help clarify. You said 2018, the barn reopened. When did it shut down?
I believe, I want to say it shut down in 2008, maybe.
Okay,
I don't really know that
that's
answer.
fine. And then you opened in 2019. Or you ran it in 2019.
Right, but it reopened in 18.
Okay, the barn reopened in 18.
Yes,
But in 19, you had the trail, the hayride, and the barn.
Yes.
Okay. And then in 20, what'd you do?
We came in to get the permission to do the trail, but then COVID was still a big factor.
Okay.
We decided none of the other areas were at that time, the Medina, the health department wasn't allowing anybody to open up until the very last minute. So again, a lot of the other haunts didn't open their trails up until the last minute. So we were kind of behind on that one. So I kind of let it go for last year.
So you didn't open the trail last year.
No, and that wasn't because,
What about the hayride?
no. Well, we won't need the hayride if the trail's not.
Okay, so
There.
you just had the barn.
Right.
Okay.
And to be honest, we didn't make any money on that one because we had to lower the price down to $13. And then with our coupon floating around, that's another $3 off. So we're getting people in there at $10 a person. It's just not making it.
Okay. Okay, that's all I've got.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. What I would like to do at this point is, we have some emails from some residents, and I'm sure I'm assuming there's residents here that want to speak. So let me go through these emails, and then if maybe you want to answer to any of these concerns,
Sure. You want me to stay up here?
it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Wherever you're comfortable.
Okay.
So there's, and I think everyone should have a copy of this. There was an email from Mr. Pearl, and it's quite lengthy. I'll read it into record, and then I think the last page, he's got all kinds of questions, which I don't know that as a board we can address all these, but we'll go for it. So he starts by saying, my wife and I own the 2 lots on King Road off Bellis Road since the 1980s, and our family has lived here since 1986. Our recollection of the development of Buzzard Cove properties is as follows. The land in the floodplain of the East Branch of the Rocky River is particularly fertile and was traditionally used for farming in the 1800s. Bellis Road was established early and still has some of the original oldest housing stock in Hinckley. The land where Buzzard Cove property is located was probably a family dairy farm with much of the surrounding area cleared of trees. The farmhouse came down in the late 1970s or early 1980s, but the 19th century hewn timber barn is still standing. The area surrounding this property became known as Ecco-Gladney for good reasons. Sounds in the river bottom travel and amplify and rebound off the surrounding hills. The Hinckley Reservation was developed by the Cleveland Metro Parks in the 20s, with Hinckley Lake being the prime attraction. The valve for the Hinckley Spillway was closed July 26, 1926. The Echo Lake Glen subdivision to the north of the main entrance to the reservation in Hinckley Lake was platted around that time. Historically, a small ice cream stand appeared on the property, perhaps in the 1940s, followed by a putt-putt mini golf course that were very popular in the 1960s. It's possible the ice cream stand was an agricultural use for the property. However, the putt-putt operation was a business, and both were seasonal operations. To our knowledge, the ice cream and putt-putt operations fell into disrepair in the early 1980s and were closed for at least several years. We attended some Hinckley trustee and or BZA meetings around 1987 where Bill Sukanik, perhaps not the property owner at that time, expressed a desire to reopen the ice cream stand and convert the putt-putt operation to a miniature golf and add a driving range. Mr. Sukanik wanted Metro Park visitors to be able to use this facility. The trustees discussed pedestrian safety as there was no sidewalks or crosswalks in the area. Also, the bridge on Medina County Road 140 between the property and the Metro Parks was not wide enough at the time to safely accommodate a sidewalk. The Metro Park had no interest connecting their reservation to the property and expanded their ice cream shop near the swimming area instead. The Metro Park historian may be able to confirm some of this information. The trustees or BZA explained any permit to operate the business had been abandoned. Mr. Sukanik claimed the ice cream shop never closed, but had limited operations of being open at least one day each year. He could not give any specific dates the ice cream stand was open. Some conditions were set and promises made, and permission was granted to replace the ice cream stand, modernize the miniature golf course, and add the driving range. The Buzzard Cove was then developed as we see it today. It is unknown if a conditional use permit was granted at that time for the outdoor recreation. And I think the outdoor recreation that he's referring to is the driving range and the putt-putt course. The Buzzard Cove expanded the seasonal operation with a haunted barn around 1996. It lasted for several years. The haunted barn operated inside and around outside of the old barn with few, if any, complaints from the residential neighbors. We are not aware of any conditional use permit for this expanded indoor outdoor recreation. The haunted barn was reactivated in 2016, and the zoning commission recommended the business be issued a special event permit by the zoning inspector. The haunted barn was reactivated again in 2019, including an outdoor screen park and trail walk without any permit whatsoever. After the outdoor activity started, the neighbors complained about the noise. An application for a special event zoning permit, not a conditional use permit, was made and approved by Tom Wilson, zoning inspector, on October 10, 2019. These outdoor activities continued on through the end of the month without a conditional use permit, and the neighbors continued complaining to the police about the noise to no avail. The neighbors called the police about the noise, who talked to the owner, but nothing changed. The December 2020 Hinckley Record reported that Buzzard Cove owner Joe Gallo expects the new Buzzard Cove Scratch Kitchen and Bistro to open in December for carry-out and dine-in with a 70-seat restaurant. Opening in December. One would conclude it is more than a seasonal use for the ice cream shop building. We are not sure if the building has an occupancy permit for 70 people plus staff. The new conditional use permit application is for permanently expanding the operation beyond the seasonal miniature golf and driving range. It includes an outdoor haunted trail, tent attraction, and haunted hayride, doing business as Buzzard Cove Screen Park, operating in this residential area until midnight. Our Hinckley trustees have always supported businesses in the town center zone B2 while balancing that support with the surrounding residential neighborhood, at the time maintaining the rural character of Hinckley. Understandably, the trustees created the B1 district on West 130th to allow a wider scope of businesses on the edge of the township neighboring and industrial districts I1 and I2. The creation of the B2 district on Bellis Road and Hinckley Road, including lots that are still residential, is much harder to understand. 4 of these 6 lots extend into the floodplain of the Rocky River. So then, Mr. Pearl goes on asking the board several questions here as far as what year it was changed to a B1 district, what the trustees' intentions were back then. Was there a conditional use permit issued in 1987 for the ice cream shop? What were the original conditions imposed back then? Did the trustees in the 80s foresee the expansion of this property? These type of questions, we as a board, I feel, cannot answer. We don't know what their intentions were. I mean, Suzanne, who is a beacon of light for us, she went back and looked at the map back to 1959, and there was a shaded area that it was a B1 district back then. So that's as far back as to answer that question. The only question that Mr. Pearl states here is number 7, where it says, how will this expansion of the Buzzard Cove business benefit Hinckley residents and add to the rural character of Hinckley? Now, that is a question that we need to consider as a board. And I think we can take comments from the audience too, as far as residents. I think it does have an effect. So that's any other comments on this email from anybody on the board before we continue?
No.
Dave?
I don't think that the business is really not part of this request. It's just for the trail and the hayride and the tent. I don't think the business has nothing to do with this request right now. So we're not addressing this.
Right, exactly. That's why I say most of these questions on the last page that he had, we're not addressing. The only thing that is applicable here is where he asks, how will this expansion of the Buzzard Cove business? So it is an expansion, doing the outside, it is an expansion of the current business.
If we're talking about the business of the screen park, yes.
Right. So that is the one thing that we should consider. And do you have any comments before going to the next email?
No, other than, when does the park actually close down?
I think I don't know. Is it dusk to dawn?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can have a picnic all the way up until 11 o'clock there?
Well, true.
I was just asking, because I know that is that the same zone as we are?
Well, true, but I mean, I think the question is the chainsaws and.
That is not it's a park in the 6, forget the code, but the large 2-acre lot area. Can't remember the number in there, but that's what it is. All that's supposed to be zoned 2 acres. So that's why when we had that issue about that Frank Lloyd Wright type house up there, those are all substandard lots.
There's non-conforming lots, yes,
Right.
But there's non-conforming lots.
So 61A, I think it is, for the 7 acres.
I don't know, but let's not confuse the issue.
Yeah. But it is not B1. You're B1.
Okay.
That's all residential.
Madam Chair, if everybody could just speak up for the audience.
Okay. All right. I would also like, there's another, let's move on to this other email and then we'll move on to the audience. This email is from Mrs. Genrich. I am unable to leave my house and come to the hearing tonight. Please distribute this letter to your board, and I'm assuming everybody got it. Okay. My name is Susan Genrich. I have lived at 1672 Skyline Drive, Hinckley, for 22 years. We built a custom designed home and a wonderful property because of this beautiful hill, woods, and river. I researched the Buzzard Cove and was reassured that it would remain much as it was. The surrounding area was all residential, so whatever could be done would have to be in keeping with the rural character of the Echo Blend. The sudden appearance 2 years ago of a screen park was quite a shock. I believe that Hinckley would never have given permission to allow such a loud, disturbing nuisance operation if they had applied for a permit. The Screen Park operators just went ahead and did it without any permit. Hinckley's response after the neighbors complained was to give them a special event permit. Does extending this obnoxious disturbance for 3 more weeks really? Thus extending it, I'm sorry. I called the police several times. Only one officer actually came to our house to hear for himself. He said it was really loud, but all he could do was to go and talk to them. I invited the trustees to come to hear for themselves, but no one came. It is important to understand that all the air horns, chainsaws, loud, scary music, and screaming is on the edge of my land. I called the Buzzard Cove several times to ask them to turn the noise down and was ignored. You need to consider that Echo Glen area is a natural echo area because of the valley where the sound travels up to the residents. My grandchildren could not stay here for all the fall weekends. They love to camp out on our property down by the river under the fall leaves. I feel betrayed. No one in this township should feel that their home is vulnerable to such abuse. It is very disturbing to have strangers late at night wandering around the edge of your property. Are these people connected to Hinckley? Do they live here? How will events like this affect the property values in the neighborhood? And that's Mrs. Genrich. Mr. Genrich, did you want to read your own, or did you want me to do
I
it?
certainly could, if it's appropriate at this
Yes,
time.
yes.
Sure.
I need to swear you in now.
Yes.
I, please state your
My
name.
name is Gary Jenrich.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you shall answer.
I do.
Okay.
I want to thank you for reading my wife's comments. By the way, she just can't come here at this time. My property in the Echo Lake Glen development overlooks the Rocky River 40 feet below and borders the property known as the Buzzard Cove. The river valley is very quiet and pristine with abundant wildlife. 2 years ago, Jerry Pettry ran a screen park there where they set up a truck with an air horn, chainsaws, and speakers playing loud, scary music. There was no way to stop the sounds of loud music, chainsaws, horns, and screaming in my house, even with the windows closed. On the first night, I had to take my visiting grandkids back to their parents. There was no way to be outside or sleep inside from mid-September to end of October. After numerous residents complained to the police and trustees, the zoning inspector issued a special event zoning permit for the rest of the fall. And then they've already discussed that, I know. The permit allowed the screen park activities to continue for additional 3-day weekends and 4-day weekend for a total of 6 weekends. The Hinckley police spoke to the owners, but no changes were made. The operators ignored the neighbors' complaints and the noise nuisance continued until Halloween. I believe the Hinckley zone code is specific about the purpose of having a business district. Allow me to quote from the regulations. 6B.1 purpose, business districts and their regulations are established in order to achieve the following purposes. Part E, to establish a general business district. B1 that provides a location for a variety of office and commercial businesses and services to meet the trade needs of the township while maintaining the community's traditional rural character. I repeat, while maintaining the community's traditional rural character. How in heaven's name is a screen park maintaining the community's traditional rural character? Who are they? What has Hinckley become? Subsection 6B.2, a legal business in a B1 district is permitted by right to have a restaurant and or indoor recreation. However, outdoor recreation, as you know, is a conditional use. Why did the township offer a special event zoning permit when what was required for a 6-week event was a conditional use permit? The township and the zoning inspector should have shut down the screen park 2 years ago, as it was a new outdoor use violating our zoning regulations. Instead, the trustees and zoning commission spent 6 months redefining the zoning code for community events, residential events, and special events. They went through the hearings and adopted the text changes last November in 2020. That we assumed would be appropriate, but it wasn't. Now Jerry Pettry, who does not live in Hinckley, is back again and submitting an application for a conditional use permit. So this disruption can be permanently repeated in our community year after year. Please examine the application. The name of the applicant is Jerry Pettry, Buzzard Cove, Green Park. Hinckley Properties Incorporated does not, excuse me, Hinckley Properties is not the Buzzard Cove. The names of the owners and the business name does not appear on the application. The site plan is for Hinckley Haunted Roost. The permit application is for 2 permanent parcel numbers when the activities only occur on one. It's a little confusing to me. That's all I'm trying to say. Not that it's wrong, it's just confusing. Section 4.8, nuisance prohibited. The section of our zoning code should be enough to reject this conditional use permit application. Incidental noise from a business could be acceptable, but noise created on purpose is a nuisance. I strongly ask the BZA to perform their due diligence and go back into your records, review the conditional use permit issued to Hinckley Properties in the late 1980s. Restrictions and promises were made to allow Hinckley Properties to remodel the defunct 1950 ice cream stand to the seasonal Buzzard Cove operation. Now the ice cream shop is going to be a restaurant. Lastly, I'm sure there's no one in this township or on this board who would want to have an air horn going off every 3 minutes in their backyard until midnight on all the fall weekends. I would like to demonstrate, but I wouldn't do that. I'm not that cruel to do that to you. Okay. I have too much respect for the board and trustees in this room. Instead, maybe I should go outside into the parking lot, use the air horn every 3 minutes, fire up my chainsaw, and see how that sounds. I wouldn't do that either. I certainly wouldn't do that.
We appreciate it.
But again, thank you for your time.
Well, to answer your question, as far as the application and the property owner not appearing on it, he does have a letter that it states that he has.
Yeah, and as I say, it's just the confusing.
Right. But I'm just to make it clear,
Right.
You know, the application, usually when there's someone that's doing it on behalf of the owner, they have a letter giving them permission to do that. So he does have that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions before we move on?
No.
Okay. Anyone in the audience that would, do you have?
Yeah, I just wanted to add right to that really quick.
Sure.
If your complaints came through, if you had called the Buzzard Cove, I wouldn't have been the one that answered the phone. So as far as your complaints going ignored, that was not the intentions. That's not what happened. We were asked to turn down the music. What happened was when the music was too loud, we did have a speaker directly pointed up the valley towards your house. So we did then turn that speaker towards the trail. And I believe that solved that, the music noise. So other than that, again, it wasn't, we weren't trying to ignore you or be ignorant in any way, shape, or form. That's why I even said on Saturday, if we can work together on this and try to find some agreement. But other than that, like again, it offends me that you said it went ignored. So that's all I got.
Well, the calls were made. So I'm sorry that you're offended the calls were made and nobody did anything.
Well, I did not ignore you, sir.
Okay. Thank
I
you.
didn't say you did. I said
All right.
call the Buzzard Cove.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be,
Okay.
but just,
Anyone else in the audience that would like to speak?
I'll go.
Okay. Did you want to step up and get sworn in?
Hello, I'm Julie Mainzer, 1727 Hinckley Hills Road. We are the property west of Buzzard Cove.
Swear to tell.
And I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, as I shall answer unto God.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Julie, hold on a second. Did you get the address from Mr. John? Okay, thank you. Okay.
Okay. We're here tonight in regard to the conditional use permit for the land property being used as that's owned by Buzzard Cove. Buzzard Cove currently has, or it is stated that they have 2 outdoor recreational conditional use permits, whether they do or not, we don't know, miniature golf and driving range. And it's noted in the packet that they do have that as a part of their evidence. There have been significant changes at Buzzard Cove. It's been under several managers over the years, and things have changed drastically. The problem we're having is from transition, nobody knows what's going on. They make changes, they make updates, they do whatever they want, and they're not in compliance with a lot of the things they should be in compliance with. I have some stuff I'd like to submit into evidence because things do not line up. In the application, they state their hours. In this article, it was published that the zoning commission approved them from Friday to Saturday, 7 to 11:30 to be open, and on Sunday from 7 to 10. So I could submit that into evidence. Also, I was able to find they are supposed to be seasonal. The outdoor recreation is supposed to be seasonal. Again, I did find something published by Visit Medina County, and it was dated January 22nd, 2018, that they were open from May 15th to September 15th from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. So I'd like to submit that into evidence as well. Also, they basically were a small ice cream and snack shop. They now are opening, they have already opened and are operating a restaurant with no permit that has been issued. They have, they're open year round, and now it was never permitted to be at the driving range at night. They actually allow golfers at the driving range at night. So that's in violation with what they are currently doing. And I have stuff to submit in evidence for that too. Here is an email that I sent to Tom Wilson. It basically shows their website. It shows that they opened a new Italian restaurant and they would be open year round. They've also applied for a liquor license, which is issued to restaurants or nightclubs. They applied for a D1 for beer, D2 wine and mixed beverages, and then the D6, which is not on this list. It is a Sunday sale, so I can submit that. Also, I have from their website more evidence. January 28th, advertising, they opened their restaurant. July.
Whose website, Julie?
Buzzard Cove.
Okay.
This is all, and that's why I took the screenshots that shows it's from Buzzard Cove. July 14th, 2020, basically this is when they only did snacks before they opened. More August 3rd, just to show the transition without permission. November 19th, this is November 19th of 2020, showing golfing at night, November. Okay. So the seasonal, the regular hours are not being followed. And the way I do have a point to this. Well, I do have a point to all of this. Also, we have, just to show the history of how well Buzzard Cove, or their lack of working with people to be in compliance, I have an email from 2018 regarding the Buzzard Cove, it says regarding the 2000 Buzzard Cove season. And we have been made them aware that we have had issues with the nets. They've deteriorated. There have been problems with it. There's been personal injury and property damage. Back in 2018, they said they are planning to fix the nets that protect our house. They said they will do it sometime in April, hopefully before they open. That was clear back in 2018. It was also mentioned that we have an issue with the lawnmower. They don't pick up the balls. They run a lawnmower over, and the nets are rotten. The balls go right through the nets. Again, this goes clear back to 2018, showing that they've acknowledged it. They say they're going to fix it. I'd like that added into evidence. That was also, I have an attachment, that was sent to Tom Wilson as well. So he was aware that it's been more than an ongoing problem. Also, I have some text evidence Again, to Greg Sukenik, the owner of the property, back September 18th of 2020 at 9:30 at night, guys golfing, using the driving range at night. He said they should be closed. They have always been closed at night under new management. They decided for they can make money, open it up. They don't care. It's all about the almighty buck for them. Again, that was September 18th. October 19th, again, you have two guys over there hitting balls in the dark. His reply from the owner, the range is supposed to be closed when it gets dark. I'd like to add that into the record. Also, a part of the conditions that were established, probably originally, like they had mentioned earlier, either promised or whatever, the tee boxes are supposed to be angled away, or at least they were supposed to in the past. This was an email from Greg again. And basically over the years, things have changed and they've adjusted. So if you look on the map, they are angled partially towards our house. So we have.
So Julie, I want you to finish everything you have there.
Okay.
But I kind of need to.
Well, the reason I'm bringing it up is because here's my reason. They have a conditional use for outdoor recreation. This new application should really not be a new application because they're using the same land that the driving range currently uses as a driving range. So you have a unique opportunity to enter this as using the B or 6.B.10, where it is a change of use, because they're combining what they're currently doing with a new feature on the same land.
Okay.
And they are going to run it year round. So they may or may not stop during the season. Also, I do have some additional pictures of the deterioration of the nets that I shared with Tom clear back in March of 2021, never fixed. Like they said in the earlier email, they'll fix them. One last thing, and then I'm done. This is a copy of the police report. This was done on Father's Day. My daughter was at the very end of our property. Bruce Linville was the officer on June 20th, 21. And he states that he walked through the yard and observed numerous golf balls. He estimated, 40 in the yard. And then he said, I heard the golf balls hitting the treetops and became concerned about being struck. So the police officer witnessed how bad it is. He went over to talk to the manager, and the manager acknowledged the ongoing problem. And then the manager said the nets are not the problem. People hitting the balls over the nets are the problem. So we need the nets raised. We need to feel safe using our own property. And then basically the officer asked them about supervision. The manager over there stated no one is keeping watch at all times. So I'd like to submit this into evidence as well.
Okay. You done?
Yeah, but like I said, I'd like you to,
questions. There's a couple things here. Everything that you mentioned is not really referring to what we're here tonight for.
Well, yes, I get that.
If there's and maybe Tom can verify this, Tom Wilson, the zoning inspector, you're saying that there currently is a conditional use permit for outdoor recreation on this property?
Well, that's a very good question.
Yeah.
If there is earlier,
okay,
this goes way back.
Right. If you're assuming that there is a conditional use permit for outdoor recreation, and to your point that if what they want to do, that would change the use. I agree, but I don't know that there's a conditional use permit on this property for outdoor recreation. All there is the barn, which is indoor recreation, which does fall into our Section 6B3E2, which that is permitted. So what you have, I I understand all your complaints, but you would have to come back and they would have to Buzzard Cove as a business, as an area, those conditions something would have to be said. It is not to be addressed, all of those issues.
But doesn't Buzzard,
It is not a change of use, because I don't think that there is currently a conditional use permit on outdoor recreation there existing. I may be wrong.
From our research, we found that the driving range was opened in 1948, but that's prior to a lot of our code and so forth. So
Okay, well, we went back and there was a special meeting on September 22nd, 2016. And the purpose of the special meeting was to hear the proposal for special events permits requested by Buzzard Cove representatives. At that time, there was nothing about outdoor. He stated the proposal is for a promotional event for their golf course. They had held an event, they had the haunted barn for about 7-8 years. Mr. Sukinik indicated anyone who purchased a ticket to play golf in October would be able to go through the haunted barn as an additional part of entertainment. They were hoping to be open the first and second week in October and run through Halloween. That was the last time that this was addressed. There was nothing was addressed as far as being anything outdoor, what you want to do. There was nothing as far as any conditional use permit for outdoor recreation. And as far as your issue, as far as, a restaurant and the liquor license, I mean, that's beyond our scope here this evening. I think you need to come into the trustees meeting or zoning commission. That's a whole other, I understand your issues.
right. I'm just saying the use goes with the land, and because that land is being used as a driving range, you have the unique opportunity to make some changes in a positive way to help the residents.
What you're asking, are you asking this board to change their use of the driving range?
No, I'm just asking you guys to update. Yes.
We can't do that this evening.
Well,
that's not what's on the table. We're addressing additional outdoor recreational use to operate a haunted hayride trail and tent at the stated addresses. Additional.
That is currently being used as a driving range.
That's true. That's true. But we can't put any conditions on the driving range. We can't say you need to.
But Buzzard Cove would own the condition. They will own this condition.
On this issue.
Yes.
So now, if you want to petition to the zoning commission, to the trustees, that there should be a conditional use permit issued for the driving range, or if that should be researched, that's a whole other thing. And then conditions can be placed on that. Help me out, Tom.
Right.
You're right.
I don't think.
Yeah.
It's all good information.
Yeah, I'm not just.
But I'm just saying, I get it. I just said there's a fine line. There's a fine line open to interpretation where, it's supposed to be under Chapter 7, the general standards, operated and maintained going into the future, so as to be harmonious with existing, uses. It's a hazard. It's disturbing to the existing.
I know, but what are you asking us to do this evening? You can't.
I'm asking you.
Stop operation. They cannot.
Well, and the thing is, listing all the current violations that they are under, what has been done? There has been no penalty, no enforcement.
Okay, well, that's. I think you need to.
You know what I mean? And it's become such a severe issue that I need to appeal, to the board to see what you can.
Trustees and to the zoning commission, not to this board. That's all I'm saying.
Because I add something that might help. I don't know, maybe I'm on the line or not, but Greg and I have talked about a work order. He did order new nets. He did order nets to extend it. We've ordered the extension poles to make it 20 feet higher and 60 feet long.
So that is in the works.
That's great, but that has nothing to do with what we're talking about here tonight. I understand, but again, Julie, I'm not dismissing you, but I'm just saying that this is not the place for it. And I am dismissing you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Would you like to step up?
I
I need to swear you
Sure.
in, and please
My name
state
is-
your name and address.
my name is Doug Meanser. Address is the same as Julie's.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer unto God.
I do. So to expand on Julie's explanation, I think what the interpretation is that the responsibilities of running that type of outdoor event is extremely, as you heard, disturbing to the residents around the area. And I didn't hear where you were from, but are you from Hinckley?
I'm from Brunswick.
Okay, Brunswick. Brunswick is not the same as Hinckley. And,
Please address it to us, to the board here.
okay. So my point I'm trying to make is that the information that Julie brought up is the negligence to control a situation like that. He had mentioned that he didn't get the complaints. That's not good. If you're in charge, you should be getting those complaints and you should be answering them, not neglecting them. So I just want to reiterate the basis of what she had explained to you guys is that it's probably an opportunity to seriously look at this situation and not let it get out of hand by a permit to have excessive nuisance until midnight. That, for everybody that is in the area, that is not what that place in 1942 was intended to do. As Julie mentioned, it is expanded beyond anyone's comprehension. And again, this is a community that is still rural. And I don't think anybody had the foresight that when they bought a property in that area to be under that type of situation to listen to that type of nuisance. So make it a point that the reason why she brought all of that stuff up was to give you an idea that if you guys don't take something serious and consider what this could expand onto, because as you mentioned, he just mentioned, they're looking into it. They're looking into it. They're looking into it. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten that response over 22 years. So promises, and promises, expanding beyond the boards and the zoning compliances. We've already seen, and it's proven that it's gotten out of hand. And to me, from an outsider, I don't know the rules and regulations as far as your zoning, but somebody is lacking the ability to have a foresight to say, look, what's the next thing that they're going to be asking for? So again, I just wanted to make a note that the reason why that stuff was brought up was showing the negligence of the promises that they've mentioned and haven't kept. And the nuisance, in my opinion, is way beyond comprehension. So that's what I wanted to say.
To your point, I understand, and I think what you said as far as the nuisance and what we have to be careful what we grant so that it doesn't expand. I agree. The only thing I was saying about Julie is that what she brought up, as far as the nets. And
I understand.
We can't do anything about that.
I understand.
You came up to testify that, the issue is as far as the nuisance and the noise, that's what we're here for tonight.
Right. And
Discuss that particular, we cannot do anything about the other things right now.
I understand.
Can anything be done in the future through another venue other than this board?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. But just so the record stands straight is that's what the build up to, the reason why. And to one more thing is the promises that they're giving and the reasons why they're wanting to do what they want to do is the constant neglect currently. You guys put floodlights up, right? There's 4 floodlights. They're on 24/7. Okay, so if it's not, the point being, it's not them, okay? It goes back to, in any situation, it goes back to the owner, right? If the owner's living in Chicago, there's no cell phone activity to know what's going on. Ring, 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 what's going on there? Oh, you're doing everything okay? Hey, they say they're doing everything okay. That, the owner isn't present here, right? So he's putting that responsibility and just saying, I want my money, go lease it out, let this individual come in and do whatever they need to do without the proper, the proper, consideration for the residents. And in every situation, this is exactly what happens in a hearing of this type of situation or magnitude. It's the people who live around the situation fighting or expressing their concern about people who do not live there, right? That's in every situation, every zoning compliance, every similar situation is that the people have to fight to continue an atmosphere and living arrangements as when they bought it. And then zoning, management, police force allows the business to expand and the atmosphere and the environment changes. That's what we have to consider. People don't live here. They leave at midnight, right? They leave the radio on. They leave the lights on. They go home and they go to bed. We listen to that 24/7, okay? Right? Echo Glen. Somebody hits the speaker. It turns to this guy's house. He listens to it till 10 o'clock. They open the next day. And you're telling me this person is going to have the responsibility to say, we will do everything in our power? We've already experienced the behavior that they already are operating under. So we have to take that into consideration too. The consideration, in my opinion, is 0.
I understand.
Thank you.
Thank you.
He has to be talking about the putt-putt place because we turn all of our stuff off.
If you want to speak, I got it.
Okay, well, I think we have some other people on there.
Yes, anyone else? You can state your name and address.
My name is Chris Carter, 492 Bree, Ohio.
Swear.
Bree, Ohio.
Give a street address.
492 Prospect.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you shall answer unto God.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Chris Carter. I live in Berea. I'm one of the managers here at the Buzzard Cove Screen Park. I can tell you, I did a lot of research going to other haunt facilities. It's kind of like what I do. I'm also a manager at UH Hospital in Ravenna, so I vet out places, people that struggle with drugs and alcohol. I'm telling you that because I like to vet out haunted houses too, because I like to know what they're doing. Maybe we could better ours or do some things differently. I can tell you Medina, when they held theirs, were outdoor in a residential area as well. I can also tell you that 7 Floors of Hell is held at the Cuyahoga Fairgrounds. That is in a residential area as well. And that goes on probably about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. I live in the corner of Jacqueline and Prospect, and I want to compare this to the Screen Park. There is a bar on the corner across from my house, and they go until 2:30 in the morning. I have little kids. I cannot tell you the countless fights we live 500 feet away from. They break out into the streets, the yelling matches. I have to call the police nonstop. Okay, we're talking about out of 12-month period, 24 days out of this September into October 31st. Something that I find that's beneficial to help families, especially through this COVID that we've just been through, join together and have some type of activity of fun. I'm not stating that it's not a nuisance and it's disruptive factor or manner any of the residents of Hinckley. I live in Cottersport as well in PA. I live in the Allegheny Mountains. So when something goes off, it echoes tremendously. So as Jerry said, we're willing to work and to change these noise, the noise atmosphere, that it can benefit both parties on this. We're not trying to be a nuisance in here. I did attend the Hinckley Haunted Barn when I was a kid growing up. And I can't tell you the jackknife of cars that were going down the road waiting to get in the parking lot to go into the Hinckley Haunted Barn. I also want to bring up the fact that we are by far, I can tell you this, to bring safety to the first measure. I do that in my hospital. I'm very good at that. I want to make sure that all people that go through our facility are spaced out if they need to be spaced out. They are appropriately taking the precaution of the CDCA and the health department as well. Also being careful at nighttime that it's lit properly for them to walk down the trail or onto the hayride. We have not had a complication yet since we have done this at all. So I haven't had a squad out there to someone breaking their leg or popping off of a trail going into the creek that's over there. As far as people that they're worried about people in their property line, well, I can say I sympathize with that because I'm worried about my child that's out in the front of my lawn as well, and having people that are drinking from 6 o'clock in the morning all the way to 2:30 in the morning. I would say to the precautions that we could, make would probably be upgraded. Now, the promises that were made before or whatnot, that has nothing to do with us as Buzzard Cove Screen Park. That is that's a different entity. We are here to bring a haunt in here and to, be as a family scare factor as other haunts. I know that Hinckley is a long time old community and whatnot, and they don't want the change because they live here. And I respect that. I really can say that I do respect that. The fact that times do change because Berea at one time was a farm community as well. And so was LaGrange, where I grew up at. And now we have Subways, McDonald's, and bars, and all kinds of other places. I can tell you that we will do everything in our power to make sure that it does not get out of hand. As Jerry said too, having the police department around, that definitely is a huge factor to keeping our staff safe and also keeping the patrons safe as well. So I don't want to take too much time. I want to, because I know people want to get up here.
Can I make a comment on that?
Wait, hold on. Are you?
I'm done.
Anybody have any
Question,
comments?
your role in this process is what? You're
I'm a
manager of
Buzzard Cove Screen Park.
the Screen Park, not Buzzard Cove,
No,
putt
Not
and
the
driving.
screen,
No, sir.
none of
Okay,
that.
No, sir.
good, thank you,
So the haunted barn and this,
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Just a rebuttal or response to that. I would expect nothing less than 100% safety. So fantastic. 100%. I'd not expect anything less. But the fact of the matter is, this board works for Hinckley residents, correct? We're taxpayers, okay? We decide what goes on in our community. We pay and we have a board to direct us. What we're simply saying is that if we want to watch somebody get beat up, we want to see a kid be in trouble, we'll come to Berea and watch that. We don't want to see it here, okay? We're saying we don't want. We'll maybe everybody in this room loves a haunted house, but we will go to Medina. We will go to Berea to see that. Hinckley doesn't want that. Hinckley paid top dollar for property around here. They didn't pay top dollar to hear a nuisance at midnight, a bullhorn, and especially in Echo Glen. So that's perfectly fine. The point being is, Hinckley residents don't want that. Okay? So, thank you.
He was already sworn in.
Well, I don't think recording continuity.
Yeah, for the Zoomers.
It's
For people that can't see.
For the record, yes.
it's
Can recognize voice, just.
sure. Doug Meanser.
Thank you. For just listening.
Your point has been heard. Yes, sir. Did you want to step up? Please state your name and address.
Ted Klingon, 4150 Foskett Road, Medina, Ohio. Actually, it's Brunswick Hills.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you shall answer unto God.
I do. And I'm not a resident. But my son lives in Hinckley. My grandkids live in Hinckley. And I have family members that have lived in Hinckley for 75 plus years. Many of them, not just one or two. And when it comes to high-end houses, I live in Brunswick Hills. My house is right up there with everybody else's. So we'll just let that dog lay. I'm here to support Jerry. I think we're here to talk about the haunted house, not about golfing, not about what goes on during the day. I can tell you that Jerry is my nephew. And and I understand everybody's frustration out there. I really do. I live on the south side of Brunswick Hills. And I don't know if anybody knows where that's at, but Carol's Party Center's to the south of me. When they have a venue on Saturday night, we hear it. I have 50 acres. I shouldn't hear it, but I do. Noise travels. There's a bar on Sleepy Hollow and 42. When they have a biker run or a rally, you hear Harleys running down all night. You could have Harleys running down 303 all night. It is what it is. We're asking for 6 weeks, weekends, and we're not asking for anything except an addition. We already can run the barn, or he can. It's just a leg. It's just another step of the barn. And what this is a family affair. Parents bring their kids, grandparents bring their grandkids. They're not bringing alcohol. They're not having a band. People come, people leave. Half hour, you got a new group in there. It's not like people come and they spend the night and they're tearing stuff up. I understand what the police chief said. I listened to what he said. I understand what these people back here say. But it's nothing more than, and I don't know what Hinckley does. I know what Brunswick Hills does. We have a noise ordinance from midnight to 7 a.m. After midnight, things get quiet. I don't know what it does here in the town, in Hinckley. You're a township, you got to have something. So, I mean, it's not anything uncommon. And I'm just asking for Jerry so we can work this out. And when it comes to some of these residents back here saying that they've made complaints, and they got no response, I'll guarantee you they didn't go to his phone. And I'm sure he'll share his number with whomever so he does get any complaints, because that's the type of person he is. The complaint could have went to somebody who's making ice cream cones. I don't know.
Just by the nature of the business. I mean, and I think with some of the residents, they said that, I think you stated that you'll work with them. What exactly are you going to do to work with them to eliminate the noise and the nuisance?
Well, he's already said that he'll lighten up on the air horns. You have to have some, it's a haunted.
So for example, I guess I'm asking seriously. Are you saying instead of having 10 chainsaws, you're going to have 5?
Well,
I mean, is that going to be?
That's something you have to work out with Jerry.
What I'm trying to say is that I don't know that there's anything that can be done to pacify the residents around there because of the nature of the business that it is.
And I understand that. And it's the nature of the business is it's a Halloween thing.
Right.
And in 6 weeks, it's done. And it's back to being quiet.
Nobody's allowed to scream. We're not going to use any chainsaws. We're not going to use.
Well, you have.
So then you're changing the whole experience. Right. So if you're going to have this kind of experience, you're going to have noise.
You're going to have noise.
The chainsaws. You're going to have all that.
But you can. There's stuff that he can do to lighten up on the noise a little bit, and I'm sure he's willing to work with the people. But there's going to be noise. There's no lying about it. That's what it's all about.
Okay.
Okay.
I might have the answers to some of the noise.
Okay. Anybody have any comments? Do you want to step up? Sure.
Hello.
State your name and address.
I am Donna Morgan. I live at 3943 Applewood Drive in Brunswick, Ohio.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you shall answer unto God.
Yes. I started working for Jerry at the barn last year because the attraction that I normally work at was closed. I've spent the last 12 years up until last year working for the largest haunted attraction in the state of Ohio. The state of Ohio is second largest state in the U.S. for haunted attractions. Only one other state has more than we do. Ohio has more visitors than any state that attends haunted attractions. There are things that Jerry can do for noise. The chainsaws, you can purchase animated chainsaws. The attraction that I work at does not use real chainsaws. The effect is not really the noise from the chainsaw because people that go through the haunted attractions don't really truly know the true sound of a chainsaw. It's the sight of the chainsaw. And when it's raised up in the air, that's the startle for most people. And I will say about the air horn, I have an air horn that I use where I work. And I brought that with me last year to the barn. I used it outside once at the very beginning, and Jerry came to me and he goes, "We can't blow that horn outside." It was used all season inside in a drop window. The window dropped, the air horn went off. And as far as some of the safety things, I work with Jerry's wife, Maggie, for Brunswick City Schools. And we have been trained at the attraction that I work at for safety. I walked through their trail and their barn with other supervisors from this attraction and told them what was wrong, what needed to be fixed, and was not safe. And that all of their employees needed to have a way of getting in touch with someone while they were in their area. So if they were selling tickets, the people inside had no way to get in touch with them if a guest was being unruly or starting something. And we worked out a plan for the employees to be safe as well. They complied with everything that we went through and fixed everything. We taped everything that was wrong with their barn and their attraction, and they fixed it. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gentleman in the back.
Good evening. My name is Tim Simcoe. I live at 1720 Hinckley Hills Road, Route 606.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you shall answer unto God.
I do.
Thank you.
What I'd like to do is dispute a lot of the testimony here. But first, I'd like to ask, is it permissible if I ask the identification of the guy here?
No, you have to talk to the board.
To you, okay. The identification, is he a partner that's sitting behind Jerry?
I'm the builder.
Are you with Buzzard?
I'm sorry,
Oh.
what is,
Well, I'll tell you why. I just want to make sure I had the right guy because he looks familiar.
okay.
Okay, now I've heard about the safety aspect. They vow to be safe. I've heard the chief of police say there's no security. The reason why is the bottom line is the buck. Pure and simple. I've lived there for 30 years, and it's always been that way with Buzzard's Cove. These are all new people. The owner was smart. He created a partnership. And as you say, you don't get any answers. You can't get anybody to get back to you. They passed the buck. And I want to give you an example of the responsibility that they say they profess to have. See this golf ball? I got scars on my back. I would like to enter into the record. There's a picture of my shoulder here. I want to pass it on. I don't know. Now, does it have anything to do with a haunted barn? No.
Does it have anything to represent what they profess to be responsibility? Yes, it does. At the time this ball hit me, I was in the Mainzer's backyard. It nailed me against the house. Go to mythbusters.com. They show projectiles being shot out of a lawnmower. It has the same effect as a .357 Magnum. Check it out for yourself. When it happened, okay, I didn't know what happened. I thought somebody hit me in the back with a baseball bat. And I went in and I asked Doug, what, I thought I was dead. Make a long story short, we go out. Did you recognize me now?
No, not at all.
No?
Never
Okay.
seen you in my life.
Okay. That's because I had a hat on.
Yeah, I don't.
Doug was talking to him, okay? And the remark was made, it's just a couple scratches.
That's not true. I've never seen this guy ever in my life.
Doug, does he look familiar to you?
I've never seen.
Actually, that wasn't.
Well, it wasn't him? Okay, I apologize. It looks just like him. We did call the police. We made a police report. The police came out, took pictures, made a report on it. I never got an apology from Buzzard's Cove. He talks about how concerned they are about the residents. I never got an apology. I never got a sympathy card. I never got a gift certificate for a free slice of pizza. Okay? That's their responsibility. Now, can I go after them? I checked with a lawyer. Lawyer says, are you dead? I said, no. He says, then you're not going to have a case. They know how to do this. Okay? And if somebody gets injured or if somebody gets hurt at this hayride, they're not going to take responsibility. I got proof of that. All right? If they were good neighbors, be honest with you, I tell you, go ahead and give them the stupid thing. But they're not. We've had nothing but headaches, pass the buck, and it would be the same thing again. Okay? Just remember, nothing was done. Nothing. What makes you think they're going to take responsibility? Now, I'm not talking about Jerry. I feel sorry for him. He's a new partner. Okay? But if something happens, Jerry is not going to be responsible. It's the big shot that lives in Chicago or whatever it is. Okay? They just say, oh, that's not my job. That's not my classification. I'm just a partner. You got to talk to this guy. That guy tells you got to talk to him, and you're lost in the shuffle. So if you have a problem, forget it. You know what the final recommendation was with this golf ball from the people who take responsibility and promote safety? I was told to wear a hard hat when I'm in my yard. Do you wear a hard hat when you drive a lawnmower to cut your grass? No, that was the solution. Like I say, give me a gift certificate for a free slice of pizza. Nothing. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
My name is Randy Grossweiler. I live at 417 Jackson Street, Sandusky, Ohio.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, that you shall answer unto God.
Okay.
Could you repeat your last name?
Grossweiler. I'm sorry, everyone says that. Grosswiler. Very long. Sorry. Gotta talk fast. Okay, so I am the builder, so to speak, on the project that I work with Jerry on, Buzzard Cove Screen Park. Just to touch base real quick, if something does happen, Jerry is responsible for it. He has insurance for that, just to answer that gentleman's, I sympathize with the people that live here. I used to live in Granger Township. I used to frequent Hinckley ledges and such very often as a young kid. I swam in the swim hole over here. I have 5 younger siblings that I pretty much raised. We used to spend a lot of time there. I love it. Hinckley's beautiful. And it's a very great place. And everyone that lives here is always very nice. I've had the privilege of working here now for the last couple of years, and I spent a lot of 12-hour days from morning until very, very, very late at night, some 16-hour days. So I've had the opportunity to watch and see what happens around the property and as far as the noise goes. And all day long, motorcycles echoing through the valley, people with hot rods running through the valley, loud cars, as you've heard tonight, with the window open, driving by, screaming mufflers, stuff like that. I understand the late night noise. I'm very aware of being annoyed by stuff like that. I live downtown Sandusky, Ohio. We have Ohio Bike Week. 100,000 people for 10 days in a row of nothing but noise, and I live downtown in the heart of it. Drives me absolutely insane. 4 stages, motorcycles, people everywhere. It does get to be a little bit much. We're not asking for a whole lot, and we're willing to work with everybody here. It's 4 weekends out of a year for people to go and enjoy. I know I go with my friends and family, and it makes awesome memories to go and, oh, you got scared of this part. And you tell people inside your friend's name and they're yelling their name through the whole place. And like, it's an awesome experience. And not everybody, I heard several people say everybody that lives here dislikes the haunt. That's not true. I've had time to talk with neighbors. Neighbors have come over and I've taken them inside, showed it to them. There's been neighbors that have offered me things I have this old thing you can put here. I've had people offer me stuff to literally use in the haunt, inside and outside. Not everybody in the community hates the haunted attraction. It's not true for people to come up here and say that, because it's not true. I've witnessed it firsthand. I, for one, before working for Jerry, I don't care about getting the work or getting paid or anything. I'm a haunted house. I love it. It's been a thing that I've done since I was little. Like I said, I have a lot of good memories with my father going, and some of the only good memories I have with him. And it's just, I take my kids. I have a 4-year-old I took to Ghostly Manor the other day. 4 years old, begged me to go in the haunted house. I told her it's a bad idea. It's a bad idea. She went anyways, cried her eyes out the whole way, made it through, and she got done. And she's like, that was fun, Dad. I'm glad I did that with you. It's not all bad. It's not a terrible thing for the community. I go every morning to the coffee shop up here. I haven't been to Hinckley in years, to be honest with you. Years. Haven't been to the swim hole or anything. I started working for Jerry and I forgot how beautiful it was up here. I drive through in the fall. I brought friends up here. Like, you guys have to go see it during the day. People come early. They don't just come for the haunt. They come early. They go walk the trails. They go over to the swim hole. They hang out. They get to experience what you guys experience on a daily basis. It's beautiful. It's amazing. It's not all bad. I understand change sucks. Some people just don't enjoy it. It's not fun, but it's a fact of life. Like, things happen, changes happen. Everybody should have a chance to experience this area. And if you go on the website, on the Facebook pages and stuff, all the people that have attended, there's not one single negative thing to say about Hinckley. People who have never been out here, they're like, that it was amazing. The surrounding area is amazing. I visited this area, that area, and it was just awesome. We'll definitely be back. And they don't come. We haven't had any issues. We don't have fights. We don't have alcohol. We don't have people loitering in the parking lots. They come, they buy their ticket. They have an amazing experience, an amazing township. They get to see and enjoy before and after, and they go home. And it's not all bad. And I just want to say that, like, for the people that think it is all bad, just open your mind a little bit and we'll work with you. The noise that is something that can be worked with. It's not, you're going to have people that are going to be scared and they're going to scream. You're going to hear it, but it doesn't have to be a horn blowing every 30 seconds. There doesn't have to be chainsaws running up and down the trail the entire night. We can work with you guys, I just hope you guys open your minds and just go a little bit further than just your back door and your backyard.
Thank you.
That's it. Thanks.
My name is Adam Leventhal, and the address is 1360 Cross Creek Drive in Brunswick.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, as you shall answer unto God.
I do.
Thank you.
So I am one of the people that they just brought on this season. Give you a little bit of background of who I am. I've been involved in performance for 21 years, acting, directing, stage managing, lights and sound. I build sets. I've worked in professional theater. I've been in Shakespeare. I've played Kris Kringle. I've played Willy Wonka. I've done just about everything. I've performed in traditional buildings. I've performed inside. I was involved with the haunted attraction that was in Jackson Township in one of their forests years ago. I'm not even sure if it's still going on. But just to kind of give you guys an idea, essentially a haunt is like a performance. So there are many aspects that go with a performance. For example, I'm sure everyone has either seen a theater show or their favorite concert or band or an orchestra, and there's so much that's a part of it. For example, if you go to July 4th at Blossom, you're going to hear the orchestra, and then after you're going to hear the fireworks while the orchestra plays. Now, if you have just the fireworks or just the orchestra, It's not the same experience. Now, I lived in Cuyahoga Falls right by Blossom. Every year, I heard the orchestra, I heard the fireworks, and then I heard everybody that lives in that area sending fireworks off till 2 a.m. If I would have called the police, I would have been calling the police every 15 minutes until I fell asleep on my own. Where I live in Brunswick is right by the high school. So every weekend they have their football games and I hear the fans. And if they win, I hear the fireworks. The sound, unfortunately, is part of theater, but it makes the experience a whole lot better. What's really neat about theater is that we can control that. There's different ways we can turn speakers around, different types of theater chainsaws that we can actually control the decibels on. When we build stuff can be built to deflect sound, absorb sound, and everything along those lines. And I can tell you personally, when I've worked haunts, the haunt that I worked actually had restrictions. I know that there were certain areas that they weren't really allowed to go into and certain areas that they weren't really allowed to do certain things because that particular part was surrounded by homes and it worked out really, really well. I mean, where I was, yes, the haunt that I was doing, of course, people did react to, but I didn't hear anybody else screaming from where I was. And that's because it's outside. So depending on where you are, sound carries in a different way. It's just the way that I kind of look at it is, yeah, it may be an inconvenience, and I get it. I grew up in a small town. I grew up in Beechwood, and everything that was going on in the cities that surround, because it's surrounded by bigger cities, you heard. And every time my family would call, and there wasn't much they could do. It's a very short period of time. It's a very controlled opportunity because it is a performance. It's not wild, and I appreciate everyone's concern. I get living there. I get how loud it is. Believe me, I do, because I'm the first person that if I live in an apartment complex where I am now, if I hear my neighbors making noise, I'm the first person that comments because I want to sleep. But even on July 4th, like this last season, fireworks went off until 4 a.m. around me, people were setting fireworks off. And I love Brunswick. I live right down the road from the police station. And I don't envy them because I'm sure they had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of calls. But if I did what I normally did, and called on July 4th, I'd be ruining people. If I called on the high school every weekend that there's a football game, I'd be ruining the high schoolers' fun. I get it. I do. I understand the concern about noise. It's just a very short period of time. I've known them a very short period of time, but I can tell you this, they do know what they're doing. They're serious. They're responsible. They're respectful. They take it very seriously. It's not like fly by night. It's not something they're doing just to pass the time. It's something that they enjoy. It's like a second job. And for me, it's a second job too. I can't make money acting. I do. I have for 20 years. I direct and everything else, and I've gotten paid for it. I can't make a living off of it. I wish I could, but I still do it because it's fun. I mean, I've done murder mysteries along a residential street till 11 o'clock at night, and I've not had one single resident come out screaming. So I 100% get the concern.
Thank you. Appreciate your input. Anyone else in the audience? Yes.
Lisa Rushworth, 1006 Bellis Road in Hinckley.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you shall answer unto God.
I do.
Thank you.
One thing that I want to start with is that per the subsection 6B2, no use is permitted except for the list of primary and conditional uses. The said list in the business districts allows for outdoor recreation, but I question if a haunted house is actually recreation. It seems to be outdoor entertainment, like indoor theater, like he said. They frequently refer to actors when we were at the site inspection. If the requested use is not one of the conditional uses for the property, a use variance would be needed and not a conditional use approval. But since a conditional use is the request at hand, we want to address our concerns with the specific use regardless of what we call it. Richard Pearl had already submitted a list of safety and liability concerns.
Put the microphone closer to you, baby.
I'm a little short.
People that are virtually to hear you. Sorry.
Mr. Pearl had already submitted a list of safety and liability concerns that we echo, but we do also want to ensure adding that the LLC with direct liability during the event has adequate insurance to cover potential damage to neighboring properties. The park and neighboring residences could be damaged if electrical fire were to occur. We also want to ensure that a fire safety inspection is performed for all of the components, including the existing, new, and temporary structures. When we had walked through the property in 2019, we observed a lot of orange extension cords, i.e., not the big thick ones meant to carry a lot of load, that were run throughout the trail. In addition to the tripping hazard posed by wires run around in the woods where people are walking in the dark, I'm concerned about the potential overloading of extension cords or water seeping into those connections. As far as I know, the haunted trail is not an existing approved use with a hayride being added on. And I think that's kind of been discussed already, that this whole experience, the outdoor events, are all a new use that's being requested. And as we've stipulated, when it was done in 2019, it didn't follow the right process. That got kind of sorted as far as the township went, but not really as far as the residents went. Last year, due to the COVID restrictions, they weren't doing the outdoor events either. Even before the Scream Park, the property was already a nuisance to neighboring homes, both noise and projectiles, with calls from multiple neighbors to the police. And while I understand that the applicant is a separate entity, their use will coexist with the existing use, and permitting additional outdoor recreation at a property that already causes disturbance to neighboring residential properties is undesirable. And with all due respect to anyone who wants to testify that they enjoy visiting a haunted house, they get to go home when they're done. The people who live in the vicinity are not able to go home when it's no longer fun. People visiting a haunted house also get to not go the next day. We live here every day for the entire duration of the event. I question how relevant fun is to the application as well. There are plenty of fun uses that aren't permitted in the township. A couple decades ago, I spent a week partying at the dance clubs in Ibiza. That was a lot of fun, but it doesn't mean that a discotheque should be put in the middle of a residential township in Hinckley. The application specifically states that air horns and chainsaws will be used within the proposed event. They were aware of these complaints 2 years ago. They were aware of these complaints last year, and the application still indicates them. They're starting today to talk about ways that they could mitigate that, but it's not a new concern that's been brought up. They're proposing to have these nuisances until midnight next to our residential houses. They indicated during the viewing this past weekend that the truck horn is essential to cue the actors in the next attraction that the guests will be approaching soon. There's no notification system like this between other attractions. They don't have horns going off between every one of those attractions you see on the map. Surely they can devise a less disruptive way to alert their actors to reset positions. The zoning resolution in section 4.8 states that the authorization of any use herein does not authorize its use in a matter that is noxious, dangerous, or offensive by reason of odor, dust, smoke, noise, fumes, or vibrations. Approving the Scream Park on the parcels does not grant them the right to blare a truck horn throughout the valley. But we've been told by the police that we need to stop making noise complaints because it's not a police matter. We would ask that the additional use at the site not be approved. But if the parcels are granted a conditional use, we request that the BZA make it very specific, permitting the Scream Park as detailed in the application and site plan, as opposed to approving outdoor recreation in general on the parcels. As we've talked about before, I know I've specifically requested from both the trustees and the zoning office details on the conditional use that exists for that property, because I don't know what they're allowed to do. So I can't tell you if they're in violation of it or not. Nobody's been able to produce this. However, if the board were to approve a conditional use for outdoor recreation associated to these parcels, it would be a backdoor to approving this mini golf and driving range that nobody's been able to document what are they allowed to do. Are they allowed to operate in October? Are they allowed to be operating in April? Are they allowed to be operating at 11 o'clock at night? If you grant outdoor recreation and miniature golf is outdoor recreation, all of our concerns can no longer be addressed because you've approved that use as well. It would also allow them on that parcel to do any other sort of outdoor recreation that they want. They could set up dirt bike races, paintball, whatever, and these may be undesirable on a parcel adjacent to multiple residential properties within a rural township as well. We also request that a time limit be placed on the specifically requested conditional use so the township retains the ability to add additional conditions to address problems that arise year to year and to address changes as they may occur. As an example, there is a pending application for an alcohol permit at the Buzzard Cove Pizzeria. Adding alcohol to an already loud and disruptive event might warrant additional restrictions. Thank you.
Okay. It is zoned as B1. I mean, they're allowed to have a restaurant.
Absolutely.
As far as the liquor license, I have no idea what
State of
the,
Ohio.
yeah.
But my point is that if you grant in perpetuity a conditional use, and then they get a liquor license and it becomes a problem because drunk people are going through the haunted house, you've got a conditional use out there and it's difficult to modify it. If you have a time-limited conditional use, you've got, I know we looked at a property over on the east side of town where it was allowed to be a church for a 10-year period and then it had to be renewed.
Right. Well, if we would grant a conditional use permit, it would be specific for this request with conditions. And then they would have to follow whatever conditions we would put on it.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. We're requesting that it be very specific, not just a general, right. And also time, not.
We're not granting a conditional use permit for all kinds of outdoor recreation. So it would be specific to
and again, also time limited, so that if additional requirements.
Right, with conditions.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
Anyone else? Nope.
I just have a couple of things to say. My name is Maggie Pettry. I live at 1942 Marks Road, Valley City, Ohio. I'm Jerry Pettry's wife.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, yes. As you shall answer unto God.
Yes. So as far as the alcohol and stuff, we clearly have a set of rules at the haunt, and it's posted up there clearly. We do not allow anybody that is intoxicated, under the influence of drugs. And I also want to state that every weekend we do have a police officer. There's been a lot of people have been saying that we don't have the police there. We have the police there every weekend. Every weekend we call Hinckley and they have an officer. We pay him like $120 a night. So they are there every single weekend. And then as far as the first year, we were open until midnight. Halfway through the haunt, we ended up changing our hours because of the residents saying that it was open too late. Last year, it was only open till 11 o'clock at night. So I don't know why everybody keeps saying stuff about midnight. We closed at 11.
Submitted your hours.
Did you?
Yes. And your hours, I think, are stated.
We were open till we only were open until 11 last year.
It says here Friday 7:30 to midnight, Saturday 7:30 to midnight, Sunday 7:30 to 10:30, and it also states that you would be selling tickets, sales for the season through midnight.
I do know on the first year we actually had to close earlier. And I believe that Jerry and Tom had to have a discussion about that. So we did end up having to close earlier than midnight. So just that's all I wanted to say. Those are the three things.
I'll add to it. Jerry Pettry again. The hours, again, this is conditional. Obviously, I hope we're going to come to an agreement and we'll work on that. The only reason I asked to get till midnight was because, again, watching, and it's not even midnight. Midnight is when everybody should be out. Our ticket sales is always going to stop a half hour before that. But we did have a couple groups come in 5 minutes before we shut down, and just to see their faces and how they say, oh, we drove 40 minutes to get here, you know, it hurts me just because of who I am that we couldn't show them the time that they wanted. Even if we gave them free tickets to come back, they never came back. So again, that was customers that we let down, I feel. So that's why we have our hours where they are. Again, it's to ask. If it gets approved, great. If not, again, it's something that can be worked on. I also want to add, as you've seen, you met most of my team, not most of them, only a quarter of my team. Again, we have 25 people. We're not your typical haunt that work on, where, they get paid to be there. They're not volunteers. Most haunted houses are only volunteers. So every one of my actors get paid. So as far as you saying that our business doesn't help communities, it surely does. Again, it helps families. It gives people income when it's needed. So again, I hope that is taken into consideration as well. Everybody keeps saying the almighty dollar, but it's really much more than that. Again, I have actors that do
I
this
don't
for
think
fun.
anyone on this board has said that or assumes that,
Okay.
you know.
Oh, I was speaking to everybody, basically. Okay.
I'd like to ask Jerry one more question. Jerry, we do have to look at what impact your proposal is having on the township and the community. And one of the standards that we use is, does it contribute to the health, safety, and welfare of the community? So that's one of the standards we try to use to be sure that everything is contributing in some way. Can you give us your explanation of how you feel your business is doing that?
Absolutely. Again, it's to my knowledge, and I hate to bring up the pizza shop because again, it really has no business to me. I have no skin in the game with that, but I do know that again, the closest restaurant is right here on the corner, I believe. So again, in that area, they don't do very good marketing. So as far as knowing what Buzzard Cove is all about and what they intend to do, our customers, we bring them in, we give them an opportunity to, you know, see what Buzzard Cove is all about. And again, like Randy said, see what the area has to offer as well. So again, we're bringing new people into your area. They're not bad people. They're just people that like fun in the haunted season. We also do partner up with Scene 75. So again, we're definitely networking through businesses. So we're helping the community bring people from Brunswick into Hinckley. I'm sorry if that feels like that's intruding in your space, but it's not what we're trying to do. But again, I just feel like we're doing our part to be part of the community and just trying to ask for a little bit more to the haunted house that we already have, because again, it's a failing business just having the barn.
Let me ask you, how many folks, are you done?
No, I'm done.
How many customers on a Friday, Saturday?
So our busiest times definitely Friday and Saturday, and it's within our first 2 hours, and we get usually about 400 to 500 people in the first 2 hours.
So, and the demographics are pretty much younger people, teenagers?
They're all ages.
All ages.
Yep.
So at the end of the night, how do you control, because I mean, you're outdoor and you're kind of next to, how do you control that everybody is off that property?
Again, we have leads. We have leads that walk the trail. My lead walks in before I do. I give it 10 minutes, and then I walk my final walkthrough in the trail and the haunt. And again, after that, we shut the lights off. And usually me and my wife are the last ones to leave much later than everybody else. So if there's anybody that's there or screaming or lost or anything like that, we do a thorough check. I mean, you can take my word for it, but I mean, that's really what it is. That's all we really can do. I mean, again, I know the concern about the people that live on the hill there, but we're separated between a big creek, you know, and that's steep. Again, we got roped off in our sections. We got chain link fence in areas. But as far as jumping in the water in October and trying to swim to even get onto their property is, I think, going to be a feat in itself.
I don't think that's their worry, you know.
Well, they did show concern that, you know, they don't know who's walking around their property. And I assure you, nobody's walking on their property from our side. And if they do, they get there somewhere else because there's no pathway.
Okay.
I said that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, we do multiple checks, one person, and then I do my final check. And again, it's my reputation on the line. It's my integrity. I don't want any insurance claims ever to come about. So I do my own thorough check.
Okay.
I'd like, if possible, to address those questions.
Sure.
Come on up to the podium, please.
Okay. I just want to clarify one thing. Did you just state that you're only in charge of the hay wagon and that you have nothing to do with the restaurant or anything?
I'm only in charge of the haunted house. The haunted
Okay.
house is mine, and I'm not partners with Greg. I lease the property.
I thought you stated during your initial address that you were a partner.
No.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
I think his application is that he's leasing part of the property.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Are
Okay,
you leasing from Mr. Sukanek? Is that who
Yes,
you're leasing from? Okay.
okay, how long have you been there? Were you there last year?
I was there last year and the
Okay.
year before.
Oh, really?
When I
Okay.
didn't do it was in 18.
Okay, did you hear anything last year about me getting hit with the golf ball?
No, sir.
I didn't think so.
But-
Didn't think so. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do know Greg, and I don't know that he would have I don't know that he would have let that go like that. I mean, if you didn't hear from him, it doesn't sound like him. I do know
Doug Mainzer called the head guy, I don't know his name.
either Joe
And he
or
got-
Mike.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Julie Mainzer, back on the record. I did notify Greg personally, talked to him on the phone, told him we had an accident, ambulance was called, police report was issued, and he never followed up to express any concern at all, period. And it's been over a year. Also, to address some of the things you said, there's your word against the township when you say you'll quit selling tickets and all this. There's really no good way to monitor.
Absolutely.
I do it all the time.
The police officer's there, and again, he
Yeah, but that's not going to be his job to do, that if he's busy with doing safety. I'm just saying, given the record of your word against whoever's, I'll do this, make promises, things are just not kept. And in the application, it says no new structures or no structures, permanent structures. There are plenty of structures that have been added that have never been taken down. The entranceway, that structure mounted there has been there for a few years. The stuff in the back as we walked through, that stuff obviously has been there, put up and left.
Is that part of the haunted barn?
Yeah, it's a part of the application.
Okay.
So I just wanted to, and the haunted barn itself, no, the structures are back in the trail.
Okay.
The haunted barn, we live 50 feet or 50 yards.
What we're approving,
But
not approving.
the sounds, it's September, October. In the evening, you open your windows. We can hear every trap door slam. We can hear all those noises inside our own house from inside the barn.
Thank you, Julie. All right, yes, sir. Please state your name and address.
My name is Scott Rushworth, 1006 Bellis Road.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you shall answer unto God.
I do.
Thank you.
All right, so I've got some general questions and procedural concerns. First one, I go for section 7.2B, 2, which is the conditional use permit section. It states that a site plan is required. Is it, and then in 11.5 and 11.4, it talks about final and preliminary site plan. Are those the same site plans that we should expect with this application?
Well, this is the site plan that they submitted for the, so, I think what you're referring to in section 11, that's more of for
Right.
a development or.
They're really not building any structures here.
Okay.
That are permanent, and so I didn't think it was necessary to have the formal site plan like if you were doing a subdivision or something.
Okay. Okay. So
I guess. you would
So there's
say that this is
nothing,
the site
we're not expecting anything more for the site plan. There's obviously things missing from the drawing.
Such as?
Well, there's talk about the tent being moved and is everything, what's more of a question, I guess. Is there any other structure that they're planning on putting on the property that aren't that isn't on that image right there.
Well, if there was, what would be approved or not approved is based on this.
Exactly. And
So
that,
this
yeah, I
is what
just
would
wanted,
be approved, yes or no.
I just want to make sure it was
Yeah.
confirmed. There's nothing else planned.
Yeah, there's nothing that we feel we need to add after this. Again, a haunt with three different, sections to it is more than enough. Again, we don't want people to stay there all night. We just want them to get their money.
Okay.
So after this, there won't be any more surprises.
Okay.
There's nothing else that we need.
And then in 7.2B6, it talks about a statement supported by substantiated evidence regarding the requirements enumerated in Chapter 7, Conditional Zoning Certificate, Section 7.3, 7.4, Chapter 9, Parking and Loading Regulations are applicable. That wasn't included in the application either. So I'm just curious about the details of the parking and if it's allowed that we don't have that information or within the application.
Well, we do have that information. We check the parking and they have auxiliary parking as well.
Okay, and that's made available in the application?
No, it's not in the application, but I checked.
Yeah, so my concern is that if the application is approved, that the information included in the application isn't complete and that whatever parking information is discussed or where that's elsewhere, located elsewhere, isn't going to be approved because it's not on the application.
I think they,
ran into any parking problems.
I think they state in here, our attraction have off-street parking on the property consisting of large gravel parking area and an overflow parking area to the left through the fence gates.
Mm-hmm.
And also Tom would be the one that, he reviewed the application, he was on site, so I think it is addressed.
I think the specifics in section 7.3 and 7.4, as well as the chapter 9 parking loading regulations are very specific about what's required, but it's not stated in the application as far as answering what things are going to be done to meet those requirements. Maybe we could read through the zoning regulation of what those requirements are.
I see what you're referring to.
Okay.
But again, I think that Tom has reviewed that,
Okay.
approved it. And if it would be a concern, I think.
But it's just not shared with the public or included in the application.
It's in part of their documentation that they have enough street parking and then
That's what they say. Yeah, sure.
Well, but also the zoning inspector reviewed it.
Right.
If there would be.
But I didn't know that until now.
Okay.
Right. So in the actual application on line 6, there's details on utilities, signs, refuse, etc. Also an explanation of the economic noise, glare, and odor effects on adjoining property and the general compatibility with adjacent and other properties in the district. That was not included in the application. They didn't answer that. It's line 6 wasn't completed.
I don't know what to tell you. Okay.
I just don't know how we can approve something that's incomplete. And maybe we need to take some more time, meet back later and with a completed application. So let's see. The application does not include any of the information required for a special event, section 7.5H.
But this is not a special event application.
But my understanding, glad Colleen is here, that my understanding is that you would still need a special event. The information for the special event that's occurring, you would need a conditional use and the special event information. That's all my understanding is that's what 7.5H is for.
I don't think so. I think it's either one or the other.
Yeah.
Maybe Trustee Kalina, maybe you could help clarify that?
I refer that over to Mr. Wilson.
Okay.
Good.
That's the answer.
Okay. So there was no point in doing all of that work to do the work we did with the zoning commission in order to get the special event wording in there, where a commercial special event requires a conditional use permit plus the list of things in 75H, which I'm having trouble pulling up. I mean, it's very useful information to have, so maybe we could just go through that list. Oh, here it is. Yeah. A description of the proposed event, including all activities. We have that. Name and address of the sponsor. We got it. Emergency contact information. So who do we call in the event of an emergency? We see a fire. Who do we contact? Jerry offered his.
911?
I'd call the fire department.
Well, yeah, sure. Jerry offered his phone number, but maybe we can make that part of the record.
Well, sure.
If there's noise, we want an emergency contact because it's 3 o'clock in the morning and there's a fog horn going on. Because it would be helpful for the residents of.
Yeah, I'm not. You can swear me in if you want to.
Go ahead. Yeah, okay, let me swear you in. Swear to tell please state your name. There you go. Please state your name.
I, Chris Kalina.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as you shall answer unto God.
I do.
Thank you.
This conversation did come up within the zoning office, and the zoning inspector did ask my opinion on this, but they did not apply for a special event. I mean, that's just the bottom line. That was not what this application is for.
Exactly.
They applied for a conditional use for the outdoor recreation.
A special event would have to be applied for every year. A conditional use, they would have a conditional use permit that would be ongoing.
Understood.
For this specific, and the conditional use permit would be granted for this specific request.
Then I had a misunderstanding about what we put into the zoning because I thought you also needed the special event information.
It's one or the other.
Okay.
I guess I guess it's possible if you have a conditional use permit that you would have a special event in addition to.
Well, a commercial special event requires a conditional use permit. That's what the zoning regulation states.
Yes, but this would be an ongoing, that's the point of this, was so that they wouldn't have to come back every year.
So it's circumventing all of the work that we did for a special event.
Is it, would a special event be if I wanted to do this like one weekend in July? Is that something like I would come in for that?
Well, that would be for you wouldn't need a conditional use for that.
You would still need a conditional use.
For anything over a certain number of weeks.
Chris Kalina, once again. I wouldn't say this is circumventing it. It is the reason that they are here is because that language was changed. Prior to the change in the language stated shall, and the zoning commission shall approve the event. If the event was greater than 3 days, if it was less than 3 days, the zoning inspector shall approve the event. That language was removed because we clearly felt that that was not what the intent of the special event language originally was. I don't know why it was put in that way. My only guess would be because we have Buzzard Day and that's a special event, but that's only, my guess. So the reason they are here is because that language was changed by the zoning commission and they now have to come here. Whether they're asking for a special event or whether they're asking for a conditional use. Right. So they can no longer go through that same process because that process has changed.
I understand. Yes. But in chapter 7, which is for conditional use permits, section H talks about commercial events lasting longer than 3 calendar days need to provide the following information at a minimum. We don't have all this information. Sufficient provisions for first aid, proposed hours of operation that seem to keep changing.
Is that for a special event?
Commercial events. It doesn't say special event, it says commercial event.
But we're here for conditional use. It's different.
And this is in the conditional use.
But what do we have, Mr. Rushworth? I mean, a description of the proposed event, including all activities. I think
Adequate
that's
sanitation facilities to, I'm sorry, adequate sanitation facilities. Where's everybody going to go to the bathroom? Right? But we don't have the information in the application. And my understanding is that
Well, I think, the application, this hearing is part of obtaining additional information. It's just, all of it is not encompassed in the application.
Okay.
I mean, we learn information through this process.
All right, good.
So that's part of it. Just because it's not written down in the application initially, I mean, that's part of the process here this evening.
Good.
The point of the hearing.
So
is to learn.
who's the emergency contact?
Who is the emergency
What is
contact?
the
I would
emergency
imagine.
contact information?
It can be me.
What type of emergency are you talking about?
Any kind of
In case
emergency.
the music's on at night.
One.
Yeah, mine. You can have my number. You have my number.
But we have that information. I don't understand what,
It wasn't specifically stated, so when the
I
application.
think what you're asking for is that, and maybe we can do this in the future. Have the situation, have somebody come in and answer all 10 of these points.
And
Is that
that's
you're
what
requesting?
that's what I had thought was going to happen. Yes.
But I think in a roundabout way, all of this information is between what's going on here tonight and what's in the application. It's all been answered. Now, if there is something that isn't answered here,
Where's
please tell us, and then we can get it on record.
my question is adequate sanitation facilities. What's being done for sanitation?
We have porta potties.
That's what I was going to say.
Okay.
There you go.
That's all. That's what I needed to know.
That's nothing new, though. I mean, we've had that since the very first year. That's why we didn't feel that we needed to add it.
And you specifically sent out with everybody toward the trail on Saturday.
This is information I would have expected in the application, not to talk through. But okay, so the health department approval for food service?
We don't have food.
No food? But you talk about pizzeria.
But that's part of Buzzard Cove. That has nothing to do with Buzzard Cove Spring Park.
Great. We have that information though. Sufficient provisions for first aid.
We have
Yes,
first
we
aid.
have first aid.
Provisions to control noise impacts on adjacent properties.
Already let out.
That's what this whole thing is about.
Exactly.
That's what we're trying to hash out.
Provisions to control light trespass on adjacent properties.
We run 25 watt LEDs. I mean, I don't know what big spotlights you're talking about. I mean, we run color
I
LEDs.
don't think it's lighting. It's light trespass.
You said light trespass?
Light trespass. That's
Somebody's stepping over the property line
Right.
onto the neighbor's property.
There's no way. There's a fence. And there's a creek. There's a fence and a creek.
We live across the street and we've got people, we got trash in our yard every year. People walking, they park over at the reservation parking lot, big parking lot over there. They walk through our yard, they throw the trash. Happens every year.
Are you assuming it's my customers or?
Yeah, they're coming from the screen park.
I do a walkthrough at night, every single night. I walk the entire property and make sure that that's not a thing. That's specifically one thing that we
can't, we don't even look at your yard. You have trespassing signs all over the place.
We don't have a single one.
Your driveway has one.
We don't sell anything.
I remember.
Well, there's a sniper. There was a joke sign from our, yeah, anyway.
Okay.
Let's see, site plan. The site plan has several temporary structures, but some of them were unavailable for inspection by the public, BZA, and safety officials. How can the structures be combined within the application along with the special event? Not special. How can it be when they don't exist for inspection? So if they're structures that don't exist yet, that can't be inspected.
Are you referring to the,
Yeah, like the 10 is an example.
that is really not considered a structure, is it?
Yes. I'm sorry.
I'm looking at the.
You know, I'm
zoning inspector,
sorry.
so I don't know if you.
That was
Well,
impulsive.
I think our fire chief answered that question with his yes. he suggested that if this is approved tonight, that the tent has to be okayed by Medina County. I'm sort of here, I have it here.
Excuse me, Mr. Wilson, can you please go to a microphone so those online can hear you,
Sure.
please?
I can get up.
Are you referring to tents and membrane structures used for temporary periods shall comply with this paragraph? Structures erected for a period of 180 days to comply with building code, and I think they have exceptions here as far as the tents and membranes having an area in excess of 400 square feet shall not be erected, operated, or maintained for any purpose without first obtaining a permit and approval from the fire code official. What is the size of this tent? It's 240 square feet. They're talking about over 400 square feet. The tent is 60 by 40.
2,400 square feet.
I'm sorry, 2,400.
Yes.
Yes. So, so they have to comply according to these, to what the fire.
Well, that's a suggestion by the fire chiefs that what he has stated in here, if the tent is approved, it needs to be inspected by not only the fire department, but Medina County would consider, let me see, what does it say about Medina County? We'll need a certificate of occupancy and approval from Medina County Building Department in addition to our approval. And just for the record, when we have a conditional use like this, we send out a request to the police department and the fire department asking for their input. And that's why the chief of police was here tonight. And this is a letter from the fire chief.
So that's from the fire, but will it be inspected once it's installed, it would be inspected by the fire fleet?
Fire chief of Medina County.
Is that the only inspection that would be done on it?
What else could there be?
A building, like take a look at it, make sure it's not going to fall down? A building, the zoning inspector, like is it a tent? Is it a building?
We would look at it, of course. I thought you meant.
Yeah, I meant you. Right. On the site plan, there are also a lot of, some things say they're temporary. So I assume those are going to be removed after Halloween. And then when would they be removed?
On bigger structures, again, if it's, well, all of our equipment, everything that's fire hazards and everything like that is immediately removed by the first weekend in November.
Okay. And then there's some other things, the church, all the attractions, they're not listed as temporary. So are they intended on staying there?
Well, the pavilion's there. I mean, that's been there for
Pavilion.
years and years.
No, I don't know what you mean. There's a church. There's a maze attraction.
We call it a church, but it's a pavilion that's been there.
Okay.
It's been there forever. We didn't build it.
So the one will stay. What about the other attractions?
I mean, everything else is, yeah, it's all removable, but I mean, the big stuff.
It's removable, but will it be removed? Question.
I'd prefer not to. I mean, I'd rather cover it up if I could. But if it needs to be removed, it is removable.
Nobody else cares. New structures. Attraction 2 and Attraction 3 don't have all the details. Have those details been fleshed out?
We don't know that we're going to do it this year. You're talking the tent?
Yeah, it was the tent and I think it was the hayride was number 2.
The hayride's technically part of the trailhead. It's just a convenient way to get people back.
It's a tractor with a big trailer on it that's hauling people? And that's been done in previous years?
Yes.
With a tractor at midnight, okay?
Yes.
Because we haven't been open.
Yes, people, the ticket sales stop at 11:30. There are people that still are on the ride at 12.
Okay. So they just ride on it, right on the hayride. They just get on a tractor and they go straight. That's it. There's nothing else happening.
It's on our plan, it's a zigzag.
It says it's not complete. You don't know what you're doing.
Are you referring to this yellow brick road
Yes,
here?
that is the.
Well, there's an attraction too in the email. In the email that,
Pickup?
in the application itself, there's an email that has attraction 2 and that it's not, we don't know, that's not complete. So the details weren't there for attraction 2 or 3.
It says, no, the details are here. The hayride consists of live actors, different Halloween-themed scenes, flashing lights, chainsaws, eerie sounds, and for as you ride along around the driving range in a tractor-pulled wagon. This attraction, okay, what is this? Is this their letter?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. This attraction has a low or lower medium scare rating. I don't know how that's rated, and doesn't matter. But yeah, they describe what they're doing.
I thought the last sentence was that it's not complete and that maybe on the
We
next
do not
page.
have a breakdown of scenes as we have not yet mapped out this year's scenes for this attraction.
That's
I think they're talking about what they're gonna, but I mean, they describe what they're gonna be doing.
We can't do anything until the golf range closes.
So what I put in there, as far as we have not mapped out exactly what we'll be doing, there will be there'll be a giant inflatable ghost right here. There will be a car that looks like it's on fire right here. You know, it's a couple things that they just look at as you're driving through.
Well, I think they describe different Halloween-themed scenes, flashing lights, chainsaws, eerie sounds, and fog as you ride around the driving range in a tractor-pulled wagon. What are you asking?
My understanding was that it would be.
They're not
just
showing here,
specific
like where
details.
the,
Yeah, I thought there would be specific
flashing lights
details.
are gonna
Otherwise,
be-
it's general and they can change it at will. And there'll be a 20-foot, 20-foot green giant one day and a 50-foot.
Once it's up, we do not change anything. It's not time to.
And we can't do that. We have to be able to move our scenes every other year. I mean, because again, people are gonna stop coming if it's the same every year.
Okay, I think we need to stay with kind of relevant,
Okay, I thought that was relevant, that I thought the application was to be specific and that it wouldn't change once it was approved.
well,
And
that
if
is
they're-
the case.
but
That
they're
is
gonna-
the case. I
okay.
think, they're asking for a conditional use permit, and whether we approve it or not, if we approve it, it's going to be based on what they submitted.
Okay,
So
so if they left it
specific to
vague,
what they submitted.
got it. Okay, if they left it vague.
So then if it changes,
All right.
then the issue is in following up with the conditions that we place on it or what they applied for. If it changes, then they are in violation.
All right.
And then, that's up to the
Thank
zoning
you.
inspector.
That helps.
They would have to remedy that.
All right, what's the height of the 40 by 60 tent?
What's the question?
What's the height of the tent? Is it gonna be 40 feet tall? Because that,
2 feet, maybe, I'm guessing.
Okay.
From me standing up, the edge of so if I'm standing, the edge of the tent is here, the center would be, I would say 15 feet maybe high, if that.
so less than 35 feet.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. And let's see. How many people are expected to attend concurrently? You already said 500 an hour?
All we can, on a good night, yes, but all we can handle is an occupancy load based on our fire inspector.
Right.
Which is 35 people I think it's 37 people inside the barn.
Okay.
And that's based on square footage. So I would assume that that's going to stay the same, as again, we control how many people walk through and at what time they walk through.
Okay. That's
You
occupancy.
could have 100 people in a night, or you could have 500 people. We do not know. People don't call ahead and say, hey, we want to make reservations. We don't know how many people will be there.
Okay.
And to answer your question, we've only had about like 2,100 people for a season. So that's
Right.
that's not really a whole lot.
Right. And the reason I was asking is that the parking requirements are based on the max capacity of the people.
And we've never went over it. We've never filled that parking lot.
If that's a topic of discussion, if you want to put it on record, I mean, we have ample amount of space inside the driving range for more additional parking if need be.
Okay.
Our attraction doesn't take up the whole lot.
Will there be any signage for the event? Because
Our sign, we keep our direction arrows on the property. We don't put them throughout Hinckley.
right. So the application, this one's a little tricky. The application states that in the form itself, it says that the permit will expire 6 months after non-continuous, 6 months of non-continuous use. But the application that's being requested is seasonal, and that would be September 24th to October 31st of 2021. So just in your decision, we probably want to clarify, because if they continue to use, I guess if they can't use it past October 31st to have this conditional use, so it's probably a moot point, but the application says that if the use is continuous, then the application is still good, that the permit is still valid.
What? Once the conditional use permit is granted,
It runs with the property.
it runs with the property and and they use.
Well, in this case, with the business.
Well, and it would be used from whatever it is, mid-September, beginning of September through October 31st, and that would be a yearly thing.
Okay, but the application, the form says that if it's not, if the usage isn't used for 6 months, then it expires. It's right on the form. Like right at the top of
You're
the.
looking at this? Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, it should be the right at the top.
I see what you're referring to. I don't know.
I think it means there's an expiration date. If it's not put into use,
If they don't, yeah.
Isn't used for 6 months, it expires. But once they start using it, it's good for 2 years. And if they have a 2-year absence, then they lose it.
It's the same thing when we grant a variance, you have a year from the time that we grant the variance to start the project.
So it's the time from the initial.
So once they have 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, like.
So if they came in March.
Right.
They would have until September
Okay.
to start it.
That clarifies.
What this is.
Okay. All right. When Sentner's here, I was hoping to ask him about the number of police incidents. I know that there have been multiple police incidents, not just called out for noise issues, but there were altercations. I believe one of this
Well, I think
gentleman
he
was
was clear.
involved.
He was
in a
clear in
police
what his
incident.
opinion was and where, so I don't
Yes.
think that we need.
Well, no, I was just for the community. How many times were there incidents that involved police due to?
There was one in 3 years.
Oh, right. There was one. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else? I think we've kind of exhausted. Is there anyone else in the audience that wants to speak?
I just have one last question. Julie Mainzer. Just if this gets approved and it goes through, I would ask that you consider putting a regulation or a condition that Buzzard Cove, the driving range portion, would be closed during, several hours before, because I have video evidence. Again, they're all about the money. They don't care about safety. They'll tell you what you want to hear. They had a mechanic out there working on equipment, no hard hat, no protection. I have video of him working and 4 people at the driving range.
It's not us. The driving range is closed in September and
It's not closed. I'm telling you right now, it is not closed. They will open it. They will open it. If they can sell a bucket of balls, they will sell a bucket of balls.
Control what they do. I can only control what.
Yes, but you're leasing the property from them, and your business is going to be directly impacted by their decisions and what they do.
I don't mind every day.
we've done it.
Never had to go.
This will be our 3rd year and they're never open when we're doing a haunt.
And if they do, I don't mind it. Can't control what they do during the week, but.
And then, when you're even there or have people there, or when your actors are there pre-walking, all that stuff.
There's nobody hitting balls.
There,
why would I put any of my actors at risk?
it wouldn't be you.
What do you mean? I'm there every minute.
It would be somebody else, a clerk inside selling a bucket of balls.
I'll tell them to go back.
Is there hours for the driving range?
Well, they're open whenever they are open. Now that they've added the restaurant, they're open year round. A document has been submitted. They're open in November. They're open at night.
They can do that because they're in a B1. I mean, they can't.
If it was seasonal, it's a seasonal outdoor recreation, and there's no governing. There's nobody watching over, nobody keeping anybody safe. Again, like I said, I can show, what I'm just saying, it needs to be very well documented because you cannot trust that common sense is going to, in any way, shape, or form, be conducted.
I can't control what they do, and I can't speak on their behalf.
But I can tell you, when we are there during our haunt season, the driving, nobody's at the driving range. We're in there, we're doing all of it.
And then I say, put the tent right in front of the driving range.
And that's where it is on our grounds.
But you mentioned putting it in the back. I'm just saying,
Okay, I think we're good.
Thank you. But again, we're veering off into land of what, we're not here for that right now. Although it's related, I get it, but that's what we're here for. Okay, anyone else? No, okay. Do we want to?
I'd like
Yes.
just something to throw at the board just for information. You may or may not know about
Sure.
this stuff. And my thoughts also on what's going on here. We're talking about a lot of noise. There's a thing called decibel levels. Now this has usually EPA and OSHA and different regulators use this to determine a degree of exposure leading to hearing loss. But it also is relevant here because of the noise that is being projected during this event. So just want to throw some information out there that the level at which sustained exposure may result in hearing loss is at 80 to 90 decibels. Pain begins, immediate harm at 120 to 125 decibels. Now, obviously, that's for a period of time, but that gives you an idea of the noise levels. Now, in comparison, a quiet nature area with no wind is 20 decibels. A quiet residential is 40 decibels. And the minimum safe outdoor range is 60 to 65. So I'd say normally in this part of the area, we're talking about 20 to 60, 65 decibels normal. Then we look at a tractor that's going to be hauling the hayride. That runs at 90 decibels. A chainsaw runs between 110 and 125 decibels. A car horn, 110 decibels. Amplified music, 110 decibels. An air horn, 110 to over 150 decibels, which the chart says is pretty darn loud. So I just want to let you know that there is a lot of noise being projected during all this. And I brought up earlier about the Hudson and the Broadview Heights locations. The reason I brought that up is Hudson is like the nearest residential house to the location is over 1,000 feet. In Broadview Heights, it's over 1,600 feet. Over here in Hinckley, we're talking about the nearest houses are 138 to 425 feet away. So we're talking about a lot of noise in a very small area. So based on that, my thoughts are, and again, I'm just throwing it out to the board, that I feel that all sounds, music, bright lights, etc., should be shut down about 10:30 on Friday and Saturday nights and 9:30 on Sunday nights. That would be my suggestions. So just to give you an idea of what this
As a
sounds.
condition, Dave?
I'd like to see that as a condition. I mean, that's my opinion. That's something we can discuss here. But I mean, because if we don't shut it down at that time, if we don't shut it down then, by the time everybody leaves, you're still going to have the noise of the vehicles out there. Let's see, what is it? What they're going to say, city traffic's at 85. So there's still going to be noise with vehicles leaving, people talking, even after everything is shut down. So that's my suggestion, that we need to keep this, if we're going to pass it, we need to put some conditions on it that it cannot run to midnight or 11 or 11:30. That's my thoughts.
Could you tell us,
Yeah.
could you tell us what provisions to control the noise and light emissions you're going to make?
All right, so I run a concert venue. You're correct on decibels. They are loud. Distance is also a factor. Those
Correct.
decibels, what you're reading off right there, you literally have to be on top of it for a period of hours and hours. for it
Right,
to
and like
affect you in that manner.
Like I said, I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah. Distance is
I'm
a
just
factor.
letting you know that this is the type of noise that's being projected throughout this area.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, it's not going to hurt you for that.
Oh,
but it's
okay, yeah, I
noise
thought you
that's-
thought it would hurt.
It's a nuisance. And then if you're coming out of that, like coming out of that one area for that air horn every 3 minutes, that's going to blow someone's ears out.
We use the air
If
horn.
you're going to speak, I'm sorry, if you're going to speak, you have to do it from the podium because there's virtual attendees and they can't hear when you're in the audience.
I can answer your question with the sound ones. Randy Grossweiler again.
You don't have to state your name.
Okay. So as far as sound goes, there's a way to direct sound. As I said, I run a concert venue. I do tons of events in Sandusky, Ohio, right on the water with live music and sound and lights on a weekend basis, every single weekend, all year long. You can direct anything. You can direct light. It's a matter of moving where the light's shining. Literally, it's that simple. Speakers, you can literally take a speaker that's 90 decibels, and I can aim it at any one of you right now at you, and it'll be 90 decibels. If I turn that speaker around, you're at 15 decibels now, going in that direction. You know what I mean? So as far as it traveling up out of the creek area up the hill, we literally can redirect the speakers.
Well, here's the problem.
And adjust the volume. Bass is what carries a lot. It's the low end, the frequency. So that's what people hear most of because that travels the furthest. The high end falls on its face literally after it leaves the speaker pretty much, unless you have it cranked. The low end, it's a matter of turning the bass decibels down, which you can control each aspect of the sound out of the speakers, on the system.
Okay.
But the testimony tonight is basically say that's not happening.
Well, that's right. And that's why we're here, is to figure that out.
What you just stated is you run events in Sandusky, you can turn
Lots
the
of 'em.
speaker towards the water. Here's where you are.
Yes.
Right, this little pink area, B1.
Yeah. Yep.
And you're surrounded by all residential.
I am in residential. I don't do stuff down on the water. that's Steve Ernst, that's
No,
bike.
but to your point that you can turn the speaker to kind of,
I can literally,
you're turning it
yes.
from one resident to another resident.
Not
to
true.
another.
That's not true. I can turn the speaker in the trail and literally adjust the volume and you won't even hear it up at the barn. Like you can literally do that.
We can put a phone in front of it.
Yeah, you can control the direction and distance of the sound easily. You can
Has that been
control
done in the past?
every,
When we were getting complaints by the.
we did, we would turn it down. If they would come, we would turn the stuff down and we wouldn't hear anything from anybody the rest of the night.
Maybe I misunderstood the testimony because I thought I heard that even though it was adjusted, they were still hearing everything.
Correct. Right.
That's what I heard.
Well,
testimony.
Right, but isn't that why we're here though, is to figure that out also though, as to what we can do to make it so this could.
Well, the thing is, can you make it?
Yeah, absolutely you can. That's 100% fact. I mean, you
We
can.
had our biggest complaints with the horn. That happened multiple times a night, and that was the first weekend we were using it. We then took the horn and literally buried the nose in the ground. It was just that sudden, that's all it was. I mean, we didn't lay on it. We did, I'll admit, we did the first time. We were very obnoxious.
We were excited about it, you know, so we were like, this is
It
cool.
was loud, people loved it, but then the neighbors didn't, and we took it upon ourselves to make that right. And we literally buried that horn in the
You can control every aspect of the distance and everything at that
What kind
sound.
of guarantees can you give us? And would you consider shutting down all noise, music, etc. at 10:30 on Fridays and Saturdays and 9:30 on Sunday? Because we got, even though we're in October, we got kids going to school, we got people getting up early in the morning for work, for church, Monday mornings. I mean, we talked about fireworks and all that. That happens once in a while.
I guess my question would be, because I don't know your rules and regulations in the township, is there a ordinance for sound past a certain amount of time? Like you have to be quiet by this time. There's no ordinance in the township. I was just curious.
We do not have that, but I mean, by the consensus of looking at a lot of stuff online, 9:30, 10 o'clock is pretty much a consensus of people that do have these kind of regulations.
Right.
And that's why I came up with the 10:30 and 9:30, because townships, cities, and that have these regulations have this saying that, at 9:30 and 10:30 at 9:30 on Sunday, that it should go quiet.
At that point, we would have to open at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and it'd be like last year, we didn't make it there was no profit. He actually lost a whole bunch of money. If we open at 5, daylight out, there's no the aspect of a haunted attraction when you're walking around it in the daytime is just gone.
Like I said, I looked at these other areas and they're further away from residential. And we know that we've got people here that
Berea is pretty close.
If one person's being upset about that, that's our concern.
But there's also a bunch that aren't upset about it that live next door, though. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I heard everybody from out of Hinckley talking about there's no problem. I haven't heard anybody in Hinckley saying that they're fine.
I've talked to the neighbors. I've had neighbors offer me props. I've had neighbors come over and this is a cool thing you guys are doing. Like it's a shame they're not here to say that, but there are people, if I would go and take a petition, that are okay with the haunted house that live right next door, like on the property.
Is fine.
Yeah, we have
the trail. No, yeah, I'm talking about the trail. I'm literally talking about the trail. I'm talking about the trail.
Yes, sir.
Well, my thought is we're talking about these decibels and so forth, the sound. Even if you put conditions on that as a board, who is going to go out and...
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, we're not trained to go out and listen to those things. So
you can get a decibel reader.
Well,
that time thing is pretty smart.
Time, yeah, I think that's something that can be sort of monitored, but I mean, if we put conditions on that says you cannot have lights, you cannot have sound. I mean, the nature of your business is to have all that.
Yes.
So is there a point in granting you a conditional use permit that we put conditions that you cannot have any chainsaws, you cannot have any horns, you cannot have any floodlights? I mean, if we do all that, we put those conditions and you get that permit, are you able to do your business?
I would rather you say I can't have a chainsaw than to say I need to shut down at 9:30. Because again, we're dealing with the light factor. You can't get scared during the day when you're walking through the forest, but you walk through the forest at night, you're going to get more of a creepy factor.
Yeah, we would much rather give up chainsaw and horn,
Again, there's ways that, yes, we can get battery powered,
chainsaws.
what are they called? Theater stage saws. Yeah, stage saw. I mean, they don't sound great, but I mean, if that's a condition, I'm willing to work with that.
Yeah, you can't even hear those 5 feet away from it.
The horn, you guys don't like that. That's what I hear the most from all the neighbors is the horn. I'm getting rid of the horn. You can have the horn. I just can't, I can't affect the time. I'm sorry.
Julie Mainzer, for the record, again, you're saying there's stuff you can control. What about the stuff you can't control? So after hours, all the cars parked in my backyard, basically, every time they lock the car, their car horn is going to go off. That's stuff that's out of your control that we are going to have to deal with and listen to.
The neighbors probably.
There's no condition we can do with that.
Scott Rusher, to the decibel level, we actually do have some regulations where we specify decibel levels. Then 18.8C and 18.9E, we allow for 60 dBA at the property line for roof-mounted wind energy facilities. So we don't have any way to test for that.
But
Yeah, we can have a decibel.
But it's an example. But it's an example of a way of that we've got in our regulations to monitor the sound levels. But 60 decibels at the property line sounds like a good level for this event.
That is fair.
how are we going to enforce that, Mr. Rushworth? I mean, if we put that condition, how are we going to enforce it?
How would you enforce the wind power energy generator?
That would be going on 24/7, right? So, I mean,
It's in the zoning regulation. How would we enforce the 60 decibels for the wind generator?
May I make a suggestion? We literally could have I run a bar in Norwalk, Ohio called Charlie's Bar. I have live music. It's in a residential area. I have live music on an outdoor stage. We're in a valley, like a literal valley in there. All the sound comes right out of there, goes right up and goes streets and streets
where
away.
you are now.
If I'm over the decibel, right, that's what I'm trying to explain. If I'm over the decibels that the city regulates, so I have a decimal reader. If somebody calls the cops and they say, hey, they come, we take the decimal reader, they literally look at it. If I'm within the decibels, then they're like, oh, okay, cool, you're following the rules like you're supposed to. If I'm not, they're like, you need to turn it down. So literally we can have a reader. If someone did hear it, they could literally call, there's already an officer on site. He could walk with the decimal reader, I would take him and say, here, if it's, which it wouldn't be too loud because we would follow the decibels. When I get there 2 hours early before the opening of the attraction, I could walk the property line with the decimal reader, set everything, turn it on, walk the property line with the decimal reader and make sure that we're within the guidelines that you guys set in order to run the operation.
So when you're open every weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
Yes.
and there's a resident that calls, that the cops or whoever has to come out,
They're already
or
there.
maybe the zoning inspector will come out.
The cop is already there.
And they have to check your decibel reader.
The officer is already there.
She's asking a question.
No, yeah, the officer's already there. I can simply show them like, hey,
I don't think they want to be bothered by the decimal
I don't think
reading.
the point of the officer there, I think it's for security, right? It's not for enforcement of the zoning, your conditional use. permit.
Right.
That's not what.
We had a decimal reader the first year. Again, it was when you were having your complaint.
See, I think this board has to be realistic as far as granting you a permit with conditions that are not going to be able to be enforced, monitored. I mean, we need to be realistic.
So
And that's what
realistically,
we're
we
trying
can
to-
monitor it, you know what I mean? And I'm not gonna lie to you. I wouldn't be like, I'll watch it and not do that. You know what
They're
I mean?
Are you gonna be under oath the whole time?
Yes, I would. I promise I would.
All right, let's move on. All right.
The hours that I had thought about was 8:30 for Sunday, because of school. I understand. I was just back to the hours that were already suggested. 8:30 and then 10 o'clock, for what I thought would be reasonable hours.
It's not reasonable.
What's wrong with 7:30 to 10?
No.
Okay, yeah. So, yes, let's figure some of these conditions out, people.
We almost have to evaluate the proposal as written. I mean, you're doing a lot of nice conversation about what might be done or could be done. Are we to a point where you have to rewrite your proposal after you've decided how you want to do all this stuff? Because if you're going to ask us to decide tonight, this is all conjecture, if you will, what might be done or what could be done. And it's good talk, don't get me wrong, but we're going to vote on something we don't even understand at this point because it's a rolling proposal, it seems to me. I'm just asking whether we probably got to decide what we're going to do this evening, and what's possible. We're going up at 10 o'clock.
Right. Well, is there a good reason or a practical reason to continue this? I mean, what is going to happen if we do that? I mean, I think if we put the condition, realistically, I think putting a condition in there as far as hours of operation, that's realistic. Personally, I don't think that we can say you can't have a horn, but you could have this thing, you can have 7 chainsaws instead of 12. Personally, I don't think that that's a condition that we should place because it's not a condition that we can enforce. Now, what other conditions could we possibly put on there that we can realistically enforce is what I'm trying to ask. And if there isn't, what is the point of continuing this? And then the other point I think is too, to be fair, it's August 25th. And if they're going to, whether it's a yes or a no, if, you know, we need to, if we continue it on to the end of September, that's not going to work for them. Then we would have to have some sort of special meeting if we want to do that. So, I mean, I'm just asking what the rest of the board wants to do as far as what the purpose would be to continue it.
Do we settle this tonight?
Yeah.
I don't think there's a purpose to continue it. I think we should do a couple conditions that make sense and vote on it.
I had a question that was unclarified about something.
Sure.
Real quick here. When you said about the.
Can you step up to the podium because they can't hear you?
Just for my, I don't know if there might be other people out there. When you said about the time-wise, when are you talking about like last ticket sale? Or are you talking about dead period? That's when everybody should.
Dead period outside in the street. Now, the barn itself, that's already conditional.
Okay.
I'm talking about outside noise.
Okay.
That needs to cease.
Got it.
Because like I said, if one person's being irritated by that, then we're not doing our job.
Got it. Okay, so the noise outside, so the barn's already rent and spec, so it can
This is
end at
just for
normal
the
time.
tent and the trail.
Okay. That's all I asked. Thank you.
Okay. So Bill,
Did we have any complaints last year about our?
We weren't open last year.
We weren't open last year. We still had the car horns, the.
We had no complaints last year.
No, we complained, absolutely.
No, but I mean, they didn't have the outdoor trail last year.
Right, but we still had to call the police. About what?
Regarding the barn?
Yes.
Okay, well, that, again, that's not what we're here for. They're asking for additional outdoor recreation.
Jesus.
Okay? Can we,
All right, how about
consensus on the
hours?
conditions?
We'll try to set hours. Let's get that.
Let's get a consensus on the conditions that the hours of operation Friday would be from 7:30 to 10:30 p.m. Saturday, 7:30 to 10:30, and Sundays, 7:30 to 10?
No. It doesn't get dark till 9. Well, 8:40, 8:30.
So it's already getting dark now.
It's dark at 6:25. Yeah.
I remember holding the people up at 7:30, just to wait till 8 till it's absolutely dark. I mean, 8 o'clock, yes.
But by 8:30 right now, it's getting dark. It's getting dark. I mean, I take my dog out at 8, and it's starting to get dark already. Because I gotta look hard for things.
Even in your application, it was listed as 7:30 to midnight, 7:30 to midnight, 7:30 to 10:30.
That's what I feel. That's from the end.
Or Sunday, yeah.
Everybody done, said, and out, and quiet time starts. But I mean, ticket sales have to end.
Well, if you
earlier
say
than that.
10:30, by the time everybody leaves, you're looking at 11.
Right. But again, 11, I will tell you, we do not get the customers at 11 o'clock. I will guarantee you that. We haven't yet, but I can't say word of mouth is gonna grow in the next few years, and we might get 200 people at 11 o'clock. I can't guarantee that or not, but I do know that right now, based on our sales, we don't have more than 50 people from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. So as of right now, it makes sense to agree with it, but I'm here for the long haul. And I know it's going to grow better than that, but I do
I do listen to the neighbors and I do listen to you guys, and I think setting the time is reasonable, but 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11.
11 would be.
11:30 might be doable.
11:30?
Stop ticket sales at 11. I just.
Everyone out by 11.
Excuse me, but
No,
last
but
year
that's
you were
not
closing at 11.
We were closing at 11.
No, we weren't.
Yes, we were.
No, we were not.
We closed at 11:30 last year.
I think it said, right? Or everyone else.
Everybody was gone at 11:30.
That would have been a stipulation.
Okay, let's,
I still say no
We-
not past 10:30.
yeah, let's just set the condition. I don't know that, we're not gonna sit here and negotiate all night, okay, in a half hour.
What do you propose?
We're doing, I think,
7:30 to
7:30,
10:30.
10:30.
Ticket sales.
Noise, sounds, lights,
Yeah, lights out.
lights out, sound out at
Is that just
10:30.
the trail or also the barn?
We have nothing to do with the
Outdoor
barn.
trail.
We have nothing to do with the
Trail.
barn.
I gotta get to 11. I mean, I don't think I'm asking that much.
I think
Get rid of the horn. I mean,
Yeah, we can get rid of the loud. That's the biggest complaint is the noise. That is the thing. Like,
Honestly, I don't think the half hour is gonna be the yes or no deciding factor for this board. So I think we should just kind of move on and leave it at 7:30 to 10:30.
For the trail?
And Sunday is different than Friday and Saturday.
I would have to get till 10:30 on Sunday too.
No, Sunday is at, 9:30 or 10?
Well, you wrote down 10:30, but,
I wrote, well, that's what I thought I heard. That's all. Here it's listed, his thing was 7:30 to 10:30 on Sunday. And we were trimming Friday from midnight to 10:30 and Saturday from midnight to 10:30.
9:30.
So 10:30 all 3 nights.
That's what I had written down. Whatever I wrote, I can change, but
No, I just wanted for my.
yeah.
So I knew.
What does everybody else think?
I'm okay with the hours, but beyond that, he was starting to tell him how to run his business, which I don't think.
Yeah.
No, we can't.
Yeah.
No,
We can't do that.
Yeah, the hours are fine. Yep.
okay. All right, do we want to do a motion at this
We
point?
could.
Can I just make one more?
Anything else? Yes,
Actually,
please.
we're talking about the outside. They're not talking about taking business away from the barn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm clear on that, right?
Right, yeah.
So shutting down is not shutting down their business.
So what's the hour of operation?
I agree.
Sunday.
The 7:30 to 10:30 applies only to
The outside trails.
the haunted hayride trail and tent. That's it. I don't know when you shut down your haunted barn. I don't know when you
Can I
do that.
just ask that one thing? Ticket sales at 10:30.
No.
10 to 10:30. We would literally be cleared out by 11 if we even have people at that time.
No, if-
But we wouldn't even in the barn.
If you're going to sell tickets at 10:30, what is that person going to do? Because everything's shut down on the outside at 10:30.
That's what
You can't run another trail starting at 10:30.
That's not what I'm asking.
He wants to go on till 11.
Well, no, because again, if our whole.
If you sell the
attraction
ticket at
is-
10:25, they have to go through for a half hour. So then everything would be shut down till 11.
Right.
Correct. So that's what I'm asking. I mean, again, our whole attraction is a half hour long. The trail is only 12 minutes. The tractor is only 3.5 minutes. So again, we don't have a waiting line at 10:30. I promise you that. So, I mean, again, we're asking for an additional 15, 20 minutes outside of lights off. I mean, that's.
Lights and sound.
If we're negotiating, how about if we do 10 and 9? I mean, is it, you know what I mean?
But see, this is my point. I'm actually giving, I'm saying I could help.
Well, now
We're trying to come up with a compromise.
Now we're
that
changing.
neither people like.
Now we're changing from hours of operation to ticket sales. So it's got to be like one or the other. If ticket sales went till 10:30, the whole event would be over by 10:45 outside.
Correct.
No, the ticket sale's not at 10:30. Everything shuts down at 10:30. Lights
No,
out,
that's
sound
what we're
out.
trying. Are we getting,
To stop our ticket sales earlier than.
But
Right,
we're not talking
exactly.
about profit. We're not talking about them making money. We're talking about the situation. What concern do we have them making money to bring to Hinckley? Is that what we're talking about as well? They're not bringing money to Hinckley.
Sir, I pay taxes. Yes, I do.
No, that's not the issue.
Okay.
Every ticket I sell, I pay taxes on.
That has nothing to do with it.
How does it not?
Okay, what we're talking about is conditional that all lights, all sound, attractions are done by 10:30.
I already stated my opinion. The rest of the board can
That's my
do
thought.
whatever, and let's just move on.
You can stop ticket sales anytime you want, but everything will stop. No one will leave going to that trail past 10:30.
We have to be reasonable.
That's what I'm trying to
You guys want
do.
safety factor. So you want me to shut the lights off while there's people walking in there? I can't do that. That's not right.
No, we want you to stop selling.
So you're
tickets.
saying lights off. That means lights off. If somebody comes in.
No more sound at 10:30. Now, if that means you have to stop them at
Your
quarter,
mind when you have to start selling tickets.
So we get 2
I'm just
hours
saying,
to
we-
sell tickets?
You get whatever you have.
Right, that's what it would be, 2 hours
Yeah.
of ticket sales.
I mean, what if it goes overboard? What if somebody gets hurt out there? I can't just shut the lights off on them.
well, you're gonna have to plan when you send them out.
What does that mean?
Well, maybe your last,
guess I need
maybe
to
your
know
last
how-
trip will be at 10:15.
What am I in trouble here? I guess I need to know what happens after 10:30.
Nothing happens after 10:30.
Tim Simcoe for the record.
Nothing happens after 10:30.
Okay. So 10:30.
Yes.
Then if we don't meet the conditional, then the conditional can be reviewed.
Okay, last public comment.
Okay.
You can be here all.
Yeah, no, it'll only take a minute. I just want to comment that I live across the street and you can make the closing time 9:30, 10:30. I don't care what you make it. They're out there till 1 o'clock in the morning with everything but guns going off. The lights are flashing, the kids are screaming, yelling, going up and down the street. Somebody mentioned about the hot rod cars. It doesn't quit at 10:30. It'll go on till they decide to quit. So just wanted to let you know.
Might as well make it midnight then.
Who said that? Okay. All right, yes. Okay. So the issue is what, 7:30 to 10:30, that's 3 hours. Okay, and you said you sell most of your tickets the first 2 hours. So what's the problem?
I guess I need to know what the risk is. I mean,
What do you
if somebody takes their time walking through it, I'm going to ruin their night by pushing them along. Is all I'm saying. I can't control how slowly they go through it.
What he's
You
saying,
want me
someone
to-
goes in at
you want me to-
10:25.
Well, you want me
Okay,
to
look.
understand by looking at somebody how long they're gonna take, is what you're telling me. I guess I just need to know what the precaution.
We are telling you what
are
it
we gonna
is.
be in
It's
trouble for
7:30 to
if-
10:30. You stated that the first 2 hours is
Yeah.
when you sell most of your tickets.
I did.
Okay, so if you sell a ticket at 10:15, and I guess, you know, when you go to a wedding and they say it's over at 11:30 and then the DJ plays another song, okay? I mean, that does happen. So, I mean, if you sell a ticket at 10:15 and the people are out there till 10:40, well, you're in violation, but okay, that's not a routine thing that you should be doing. You need to be aware that you cannot be selling tickets at 10:25, 10:30. That's, I mean, okay.
Yep. Well, then put a condition on the last ticket sale. Because we know it's gonna take 10 minutes from
I
the
can't do
time.
the condition because I don't know, it's based night to night. I don't know how many people we have at 9:30. Again, we hold them up. Now, what I can do is I'll sell my tickets up to 10:15, but I'm gonna push everybody through. I'm not even gonna give them the 3 minutes that they deserve. I'll push them all through and let them get their time, but it ain't gonna be fun for them. It's not fair to the people that come after 10:30 to only pay half the price and do half the haunt. You know, my reviews are gonna be
Well, if they
different.
come at 10:30, you're closed.
Not the barn.
Not the barn.
Okay, well, then they can't do the outdoor trail at
Okay, but
10:30.
that's what I'm saying. Our reviews are gonna be different from night to night, but I guess that's my problem, not yours. And I don't mean that disrespectfully.
I'm sorry?
Well,
Let's just deny it. I mean, you know.
Well, we have to state
I've
the
already
conditions
agreed
before we vote on it.
Yeah.
We have to state the conditions before we vote.
Yeah, you just keep. you know,
Right, we can be here all night discussing this half hour, okay? So
10:30, okay.
let's just move on.
Are you agreeing then to the proposal or not?
You know what?
Okay.
It's not a negotiating thing.
Yeah.
This is what we're
Yep,
stating. This is our motion, okay? We're gonna state the motion, what they're looking for as far as a conditional use, and these are the hours that we're stating. Whether you can work with those parameters or not, that's what you're getting. And again, I don't know if it's a yes or a no, because we have to vote on it.
I apologize.
No,
All right,
no apologies.
Condition number 2, the tent will meet with the fire codes. All right, that was added in there.
For the home, or the barn.
And they were spelled out. We can get you a copy of that, you know.
Tent will be located up by the driving range.
Can that be a back or the front?
We're showing it now. Right now, it's by the driving range.
Probably with
Okay,
the,
let's just keep it there.
the building department and.
Well, he's got to meet the fire codes for us, so, yeah. So is there a condition on tent location or
No, this as submitted in the site
Okay,
plan.
all right, so that's not a condition. So any other conditions that,
I'm done.
okay. I'll make a motion.
Before you do that.
Oh, yeah,
Any person adversely affected by a decision of the Board of Zoning Appeals may appeal to the Court of Common Pleas in Medina County on the grounds that such decision was unreasonable or unlawful. They have 30 days from this evening to appeal. Do I have a motion now for this conditional use?
all right. I make a
Question, are you guys putting a time limit or a renewal on that to revisit it?
I'm sorry, revisit what?
If they're in violation year to year, make adjustments.
If they're in violation, then, I mean, they're at risk of having their conditional use permit revoked by the zoning inspector.
I think there's wording there that says it can be revoked
Right,
for violations.
yeah. They're not going to come in every year. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, like to have it reviewed every so many years.
We're not putting that as a condition. If there is a violation, then the zoning inspector deals with it. You know.
So this permit will last forever?
For this, for what they're asking for, that is what we're voting on, yes. You need to vote on it.
Are you going to put anything about the driving range being shut down during?
No.
Julie, it's not, that is not part of the application. That's not what they're asking for.
Okay.
Okay? Go.
All right, I make an application for a conditional use permit AP 0256 submitted by the applicant Jerry Pettry, who will lease a portion of Buzzard Cove owned by Hinckley Properties Incorporated to run a Buzzard Cove Screen Park located at 1053, 1043, 1039, 1029 Bellis Road, Hinckley, Ohio, 44233, known as permanent parcels 01603D, 15006 and 01603D, 09048, requesting a conditional use permit for a outdoor recreational use to operate a haunted hayride and tent at the stated addresses. Zoning code subsection 6B.2.b, conditional use, and 6B.3E.2, permitted uses. With the condition, hours to run Friday, Saturday from 7:30 to 10:30 p.m. and Sunday from 7:30 to 10:30 p.m. And condition number 2, the tent will meet the codes of the Hinckley Fire.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
That's Dave. All right, before we take a vote, a yes simple majority with a quorum present is in favor of the applicant, and no simple majority or a tie vote denies the applicant's request. At this point, are we ready to take a vote?
Yes.
Glabro,
No.
Hoop,
No.
Zalesnik,
No.
Olney,
No.
Bud.
No.
All right, the conditional use permit has been denied. And if we can have a brief recess to sign. the form. Is the copy room open? I'm interested.
Down here.
All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
A second?
Second.
All right, we are adjourned at 10:11 PM on 8/25/2021. Thank you.
Recording stopped.